All right. Peace, peace, peace to the so-called Black nation who are actually the biblical Israelites. It's me, Brother Micah, and I'm here with another video. This time we're doing part two or chapter two of the real Black History Month, right? Right? Teaching you guys about the three holy days in the real Black History Month, which is the month of Adar. All praise to the Most High via Yahweh Shai the Prince. May He ensure that every word I speak today is truth. And if there are any corrections that need to be made, may He help me make these corrections that His people might be edified. All right. So, um, I'm making this video to help the Israelites and the sincere strangers that truly seek the creator of the universe, who is a black man, right? That's pursuant to Daniel 7 and verse 9, right? That's pursuant to um, uh, Paul being mistaken for an Egyptian. That's pursuant to Moses being mistaken for an Egyptian. That's pursuant to the historical record that calls the Negro Jews, man, and says the Jew is swarthy. That's pursuant to the historical record around the Spanish Inquisition that says all these Jews were taken for slaves to the Caribbean, man, right? We are the biblical Israelites. That is pursuant to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the 47th and the 48th verse, and Joel, I believe it's the third chapter. Just read the whole thing, right? Which explicitly tells you that the so-called African would sell the children of Israel to the so-called European, right? So we're here dealing with our real Black History Month, not the sham that has been used to pull the wool over the eyes of the Negro and incorporate him into his oppressor's system and mindset to destroy him, right? As was prophesied in the words of the Most High God. So we're dealing with our real Black History Month in part one. We already started breaking down one of the three holy days, which the first was Maccabeus Day. We broke that down, and that was all about celebrating the destruction of our enemy, the so-called European. And this part is about Purim, which is also about celebrating the destruction of the so-called European when they tried to commit genocide against our nation. And we, in turn, by the power of Yahweh, our God, turn that genocide into their genocide, right? So, to do that, I will be reading through the book of Purim. I will be reading Sweet's Septuagint, which is a much better translation of the scriptures, or a much better record of the Old Testament scriptures. Okay. There's a lot of Christianization of the Bible, and the closer the Bible version is to modern times, the more Christianized it is. The further away from modern times that it is, the less Christianized it is. And more so when you get it in the Greek, because the Hebrew is modern Hebrew translated by the enemies of the Most High God. Okay? In order for them to replace the real Israelites with the Israeli. Okay? The um the LXX, right? Or the Septuagint was actually translated by ancient negroes. And you will see many nuances within those scriptures, right? We'll be reading an English translation, the Sweets, but what we're going to do, or what I have already done, uh, well, uh, okay, yeah. What I'm going to do right here is just get the Sweets Greek translated to English here by Google, and then we'll read through it and get a much better and deeper understanding. After I do this, I encourage you on your own time to read the King James Version of the Book of Esther and compare, right? And see how there are many subtleties that are very important that were missed in the so-called in the King James version. All right. So without further ado, let us begin. This is from Greek to English, Esther, beginning in verse 1. It says, in the second year of the reign of Artaxerxes the great king, in the middle of the night, Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Simeas, the son of Kish, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Jew of the house of Shushan the citadel, a great man, a healer in the king's palace. So you don't even get this you don't even get this detail in the King James, right? A healer in the king's palace. You don't get this detail, right? And you can go see for yourself. Who was of the captivity which Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had carried away from Jerusalem. All right, when Jeconiah, king of Judah, uh, from Jerusalem with Jeconiah, king of Judah. All right. So this brother Mordecai was carried away from Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and he ends up here in the palace of Artaxerxes. Okay. It says, and this is his dream. And behold, voices and noises, and thunders and an earthquake upon the earth. And behold, two great dragons, both of them old, came forth. And there was a great voice of them, and at the voice of them, all nations were prepared for war, to make war against the righteous nation. Now, who is the righteous nation? Right? The righteous nation is the Israelites. All right. Um, Now, if this is your first time seeing a video by an Israelite, you ought to know that we understand the Bible not by just making things up in our head, but we use the method prescribed in the Bible by the true black God of the universe, whose name is Yahweh. And he says that precept ought to be upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little, which translates to you gotta take clues from all the different books within the scriptures and put the puzzle together to see the clear picture, right? And that's pursuant to Isaiah 28, verse 9, Isaiah 28, verse 9 and verse 10. So who is the righteous nation? Deuteronomy 4 and 7. For what nation is there so great, who have God so nigh unto them, as Yahweh our God is in all things we call upon him for? Who is the we? The people that the book of Deuteronomy was written to, and those are the Israelites. Okay, starting here in verse 1. Now therefore hearken or listen, O Israel, unto the statutes and the judgments which I teach you, or to do them, that you may live and go in and possess the land which Yahweh, your God, the God of your fathers, has giveth you. All right. So the righteous nation is the Israelites. Okay. All right. So verse 7. And behold, a day of darkness and gloom, trouble and anguish, distress and great commotion upon the earth. And every righteous nation was troubled for fear of their own evils, and they prepared to perish. Now, this is really funny because the LXX makes it clear that um, the tribes of Israel are seen as nations. Now, a person may say, well, the Bible doesn't say that. Well, yes, it does. When you understand Genesis chapter 10, right, which we can look at real quick. Genesis chapter 10, has the three brothers, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, who populated the entire world, broken down by nations. It considers them distinct nations and even the tribes within them distinct nations. So let's see that here in the scriptures. Okay. Just real quick. It says, now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Teras. These are so-called Asian people, okay, including the so-called Native Americans. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphath, Togarmah, and the sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. By the way, I'll put that video in the description below so you can see all the proof that they are the so-called Asians. It says, by these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. It doesn't say tribes, it says their nations. But all these are of one brother, Japheth. So the Most High said, here's the divisions of Japheth. And he calls each division a nation. So when you see the 12 tribes of Israel, each tribe represents a nation. So there is a nation of Zebulun, a nation of Dan, a nation of Judah, a nation of Benjamin, etc., making 12 nations of the tribes of Israel. All right, so this is what it's talking about right here. Okay, the nations that were in fear for the evils were the nations of Israel. Every tribe of Israel was in fear because Haman, which we'll learn later, got the king to decree genocide against the Negro man. You understand? Okay, and Haman is a so-called European man, an Edomite. Okay, so this fight that we fight right now is not new, and these uh uh sellouts within our nation that try to integrate us with our oppressor and enemy and the enemy of God are leading us all to death and destruction, right? Because the scriptures, which is the real foundation of the Negro life, spiritual law tells us these people are our enemies, and the Most High sent us to them for great punishment. And we are here in the land of our captivity. And we are not here to integrate. We are here to learn our lesson and to separate in righteousness, becoming holy people. All right? Bear with me. Bear with me. Um, bear with me here, family. I do apologize. Let's stay on track here. So it says here, let me just put this on do not, yeah, okay, it's on do not disturb. Great. And every righteous nation was troubled for fear of their own evils, and they prepared to perish. That's not everyone in the world. Again, that's the Israelites. And they cried unto God, and from their noise there arose a great river and much water. Light and the sun arose, and the lowly were exalted and devoured the glorious. Okay? And Mordecai awoke, knowing the dream, and what Yahweh would do, and had it in his heart, and desired to know it in all things until night. And Mordecai sat in the court with Gabbatha and Tara, two of the king's eunuchs that kept the court. And he heard their counsel and appeased their counsel, and learned that they were preparing to lay hands on Artaxerxes the king. And He showed them, not she, right? Showed them to the king. So he told the king that Gabatha and Tara were planning to assassinate him, right? It says, and the king examined the two eunuchs, and they confessed and were brought forth. And the king wrote these words for a memorial, and Mordecai wrote of these words. Okay. So what happened? The king, when he found this out, he noted it. Okay. He noted that Mordecai had looked out for him. All right. And Mordecai also noted these things. It says, and the king commanded Mordecai to be healed in the palace and gave him provisions for these things. And Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Boagian, now this Boagian is a particular word. Um, let's see if we can kind of find it. I don't want to misquote it. It's an insult. Oh my gosh, this is very. Give me a second here. All right, there we go. It says Boagian, Greek bougeon, is an ancient epithet used to describe Haman, the antagonist of the Book of Esther. While the standard Hebrew Masoretic text identifies Haman as an Agagite, the Septuagint version replaces this with Boagian. Um, Scholars debate the precise meaning of the term. It may be a derogatory term related to the Persian eunuch Bogaos, a figure often associated with palace intrigue. Okay, so basically calling him what we'd call him what we would say in Saint Lucia is a suse, right? A crooked person, man, a deceiver, right? A plotter, right? A slanderer, right? A villain, a rogue, right? In Jamaica, they would probably call them an informer, not necessarily, and that term doesn't necessarily just mean somebody who tells on other people, but you know, can be extended to mean somebody of a terrible character. Okay, right. There's another word starting with F that's a little bit more close to the meaning in Jamaican slang terms, but I don't want to say it just in case it's considered a swear word. Okay. The Jamaicans know. So it says here, some linguistic analyses suggest it functions as a pejorative meaning bully or vain braggart. Okay. So this could be the sense of the word as well, a vain braggart. Okay. Which we know our oppressor is, right? And the scriptures reveal it. We're not dealing with the philosophies of men and their feelings. The Most High tells you that the so-called European is a vain man and he's proud, right? This is the book of Obadiah, which is about the destruction of the so-called European. All right. Behold, let's go, let's get the King James. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith Yahweh, Elohim, or the Almighty concerning Edom. All right. Edom is the forefather of the so-called European. We have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye and let us rise up against her in battle, man. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised, man. See that? Right? Nobody really likes you, Esau. Nobody really likes the oppressor, man. They just deal with him because he got the biggest guns. And if you don't deal with him, hey, he'll assassinate your high priest, man, and ruin your country like what he's trying to do here with Iran. Just learned that today, right? But nobody really likes this man, right? He has used brainwashing, right, to trick people into believing, not even believe the peons into believing, the plebes, the low levels, into believing that he's something good, right? And through the brainwashing has and force and colonization and white supremacy, he has infected the minds of all people to believe that or to follow him, right? Even though they don't really like this man, okay? In another place, it says they worship him. What does that mean? Well, they do everything to be like this guy. They want his education and his accolades and his democracy, and they literally pray to white Jesus, man, who is Satan and a forgery of the true black Messiah, Yahushua, right? That being said, the point here, the pride of thy heart has deceived thee. See, this man is proud, man. He's proud, he's vain, he's a braggart. Okay? A braggart is proud, man, right? And is always boasting about what he have. Look at Donald Trump, man, and what he's able to achieve, right? Not mentioning the fact that he's stepping on people to get it, man, to get what he wants. Says the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, man. So in case we don't know who we're talking about the caveman. And there's only one individual that tells you, oh, we all came from caves. No, brother, you came out of the cave, brother. You moved into the cave according to the scriptures with the Horites and then overtook them and their nation from that cave. So that's your ancestral memory. Okay? Mankind did not come from caves, brother. You did. You didn't even come from the cave, but you were acclimatized to the cave because you were the king of the king's highway and lived in caves, right? In this region that they're showing you here on the left. Okay. Edom is down here, and they had a port down here. Okay. And the king's highway ran, I believe, on this side here, the east side of correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is the Sea of Galilee right here. Okay. Right? He saith in his heart, which is his mind, who shall bring me down to the ground? Right? And in case you guys think I'm going off, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. So Edom is exalting himself as the eagle. Which empire has the runs the world and has the eagle as their insignia? There's only one, family. And if you read the book of Second Esdras, I believe, chapter 12, it tells you about the various wings and heads of the eagle. Okay, this is all mystery reference to the Edomite or the so-called European, the oppressor, the colonizer of the world, man. Okay, the inventor and pusher of white supremacy, man. Okay, the liar and the deceiver of the world, man, and the destroyer and bully of the world. Says, though thou exalt thyself as an eagle, though thou set thy nest amongst the stars. Even though you got satellites and bases and all these plans to go out into space, Elon Musk, from the Most High says, thence will I bring thee down. Thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. All right. And then he goes on to describe the character of this man, saying he's insatiable in his lust for things. All right. When he gets 1 trillion, he wants two, even though he doesn't need it. He literally wants everything, man. Right? Which is why he constantly wars against all the people of the world to steal from them. Okay? He's a robber. The Most High says, even if a robber comes, I just got to read this quick. If thieves come, regular thieves, to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? So Most High say a regular robber, they're gonna take what they need. If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? You hear that? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things um, sought up, right? When you add that with this, so here there's a bit of a read between the lines reference, some sarcasm. Um, that's saying if robbers came, wouldn't they rob until they had enough, right? And then it moves on. But if you add the precept, it to this, it gives you the full picture. Watch. This is Habakkuk, the second chapter, right? Talking about Esau again. Habakkuk, the second chapter. It says, hmm, um, I will stand at my guard post. Oh, this is get the KJV. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower and will watch to see what he will say to me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. Okay, so Yahweh is saying in ancient times, write this warning, man, and make it plain. So the people that read and understand will benefit. For the vision is yet for what? An appointed time. But at the end it shall speak. So at the end you're gonna understand. And it's not gonna lie. Though it tarry, wait for it because it will surely come, it will not tarry. What is this vision? The vision is of a individual, or rather a nation, whose soul is lifted up. There's that pride again, and is not right in him. Okay? But the just gonna live by faith, faith in Yahweh, the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, this individual or this nation that the Most High is speaking of. He is a proud man. He neither keepeth at home. Meaning what? The man don't stay where he from, which is those caves, right? This is the land Yahweh gave to him, who enlargeth his desire as hell. That was my point. And is as death and cannot be satisfied. Okay? How do we know this is talking about the colonizer? Well, he gathered to him all nations, and he heaped unto him all peoples. Okay? And don't get thrown off when you see woe to the Chaldeans here. The Chaldeans are the Babylonians. The Babylonian is a metaphor for the ruling nations of the world, pursuant to Daniel chapter 2. And we see that entire statue ends with thighs, legs, and feet. From the thighs on, they're all related. Thighs, Greek, legs, Rome, and feet. America, man. And yeah, the American Empire, right? Which encompasses NATO. All right. So Haman, the son of Hammedatha, was a Bogian, right? Braggart or vain braggart. Okay. So it says here's where it's plain and all praise to the Most High for the AI, right? Because now we can synthesize all the information of man, right, and more easily get to truth. This is why the Most High says in the scriptures, knowledge shall be increased, right, in these days. Macedonian connection. What? Macedonian connection, family. Okay. In later chapters of the LXX, specifically 9 and 24, Haman is also called a Macedonian. He's a so-called Greek, a so-called Edomite, a so-called European, an oppressor man, a so-called white man. He tried to destroy our entire nation. This is what we just read. Just like he keeps trying today. But today, it's by subversion of your mind. He'll still kill a couple of y'all in the streets, but the major work is subversive, right? Just like he subverts the mind of other people. You're at the very bottom. He subverts your mind and kills your body without any repercussion because you guys are busy with your Black History Month and Valentine's Day and Christmas trying to be Greeks, whereas the Greek was sent for your punishment, right? The Most High say when you choose the thing that he doesn't delight in, he's going to destroy you, man. And that's in Isaiah chapter 65, verse 11 and 12. So Bogian, in later chapters, he's called a Macedonian, suggesting the translators use these terms to link the Persian villain to contemporary Hellenistic adversaries. The man was a Macedonian, okay? Even in the Masoretic, it calls him an Agagite. And when you go look into the Agagites, they were Edomites. So this guy, Haman, was a Edomite, okay? Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Bogian, the Macedonian, the Edomite, was great. So this Haman was great in the sight of the king and sought to harm Mordecai and his people by the king, by the king's two eunuchs. All right. And it came to pass after these words in the days of Artaxerxes that this Artaxerxes held of the province of India and 127 provinces. In those days, when King Artaxerxes was enthroned in Susa, the citadel, in the third year of his reign, he made a feast to his friends and to the rest of the nations, to the nobles of Persia and Media. Medians are Madai, which are Asians, okay? And the Persians are the forefathers of the Iranian, all right? Um, it says, and to the chief, and if I remember correctly, some of the so-called Indians, okay? Well, no, Indians are Elam. So it says, and to the chief of the satraps, all right? He made a feast to his friends, the rest of the nations, and the nobles of Persia and Media, and the chief of the satraps. And after this, after showing them the riches of his kingdom and the glory of the joy of his riches for 180 days, when the days of the wedding were fulfilled, the king made a banquet for the people that were present in the city for 6 days in the court of the king's house. All right. Adorned with purple and scarlet cords, stretched on cords of purple and scarlet, on gold and silver bases, on pillars of agate and stone. Beds of gold and silver on a pavement of emerald and onyx stones, and transparent couches of various designs with wheels set about them or around them. Cups of gold and silver and a bowl of coals set before them. Of 300 talents of wine and bitters which the king drank. But this drink was not according to the law that was before, so the king would, and he commanded the stewards to do according to his pleasure and the pleasure of the people. And Vashti, the queen, made drink for the women in the kingdoms where King Artaxerxes was. On the 7th day of the feast, the king commanded Haman, Mazan, Tara, Boraz, Zatholthab, Avatsa, and Taraba, the seven eunuchs who served King Artaxerxes, to bring the queen before him, to make her king, and to put the crown on her, and to display her to the princes and the peoples, her beauty, for she was beautiful. So he wanted to do a coronation for the queen, right? In front of all these people. After this lavish 180 days, what is that? Is that a 6 month feast, man? 30 days per month, right? That's a 6 month feast. So he comes and wants to coronate Vashti in front of his eunuchs and his friends and the nobles of Persia and Media. It's a spectacle. I mean, there's silver, there's gold, it's straight just royal treatment, man. Right? Imagine if they made a TV show with this thing, man. Right? This would make Game of Thrones look like a monkey business. All right. Hopefully, you can imagine how lavish the setting was. All these precious stones and gold and silver, and people drinking out of gold cups, and what rubies and diamonds and various stones they have set within these things, and all the jewelry and the incense and the food and the drink and the um let's keep it 100, the half naked women or naked women, and the giggling and the what do you call it, ceremonial weapons and the guards, and it was a spectacle, right? So in the midst of all this, when Artaxerxes bring forth Vashti or Hashti to coronate her, here's what happens. But the queen Hashti would not listen to him, okay, but came with the eunuchs. Then the king was grieved and angry. Now, I think this should read, didn't come with the eunuchs, right? Remember, again, we're using straight Google to translate this, all right? So it's not going to be perfect. Um, they usually it's usually done literally, and it might cross-reference with, a few religious texts, but very little, all right? It's usually just very the translation is usually very mechanical, which is what I like. And then we can see the words that were said and make up our own minds. And he said to his friends, "Thus spake Vashti, therefore." Oh my gosh, bear with me a second here, family. I wonder if this brother is trying to get in. I really hope not. One sec. No waiting room. Yes, jump in. Okay, family. If I check my phone 1 second, it's just for this brother that's supposed to be hopping in. So let's see here. The king was grieved and angry, right? Because Vashti wouldn't listen to him, okay? She wouldn't come to get the coronation done, all right? And he said to his friends, "Thus spake Vashti or Hashti, um, therefore make a law and judgment concerning this matter." Then came to him Archelaus, Sardis, and Malchiser, princes of Persia and Media, the king's friends who sat first in the presence of the king. And they told him according to the law what Vashti should do to the queen, because she had not done the king's commandment by the eunuchs, what he should do to Vashti the queen, right? And Mukeos said to the king and the princes, Queen Vashti has not only wronged the king, but also all the princes and the king's officials. Of course, they're going to say that because the man has a lavish 6 month feast and does all this stuff and calls you to the coronation, and you're spitting in the king's face. I mean, she's lucky she wasn't beheaded, man, right? And he told them the words of the queen and how she answered the king. And she answered King Artaxerxes, so this day the tyrants and the rest of the princes of Persia and Media have heard what she said to the king. They will dare to dishonor their husbands in the same way. Okay? So this day the tyrants and the rest of the princes of Persia and Media, having heard what she said to the king, will dare to dishonor their husbands in the same way. Okay? Tyrants, of course, rulers, being rulers. Okay? In this context. If it please the king, let a royal decree be issued, and let it be written according to the law of the Medes and the Persians. And let it not be otherwise used that the queen may no more come in unto him, and let the king give her kingdom unto her concubine men. All right. So let the kingdom be given to one of her servants, man. Okay, one of her slaves. And let the king's law be heard, which he shall make in all his kingdom. And thus all women shall give honor to their husbands, both small and great. All right. So they're like, yo, listen, man, we gotta nip this thing in the bud. Because this is gonna go out. Hey, the king did a 6-month feast and all this lavishness, and then the queen diss him. So they're like, you gotta do something about this, man, or every man in your kingdom is gonna get dissed. All right. And this was their plan. And the word pleased the king and the princes, and the king did as Mukeos had spoken, and sent into all the kingdom according to their word, that they might be afraid in their houses. Okay. And after these words, the king was angry and remembered Vashti no more, remembering what he had said and how he had condemned her. And the king's servant said, let there be sought for the king young virgins, beautiful in appearance. And let the king appoint governors in all provinces of his kingdom, and let them seek young virgins, beautiful in appearance, in Shushan the palace, for the women's quarters, and let them be delivered to the king's eunuch, who is custodian of the women, and let a dowry and other provisions be given them. And let the woman who pleases the king reign instead of Vashti. Okay? And the command pleased the king, and he did so. So now they're looking for a new queen, all right, among the beautiful virgins of the provinces of the king, all right? Um, yeah, all right, in all the provinces of the kingdom, all right? Verse 5. Now there was a Jew in the citadel of Susa whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Simei, the son of Kish of the tribe of Benjamin, who had been carried away captive from Jerusalem, which Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had carried away captive. And he had a young woman, the daughter of Aminadab, his father's brother, whose name was Esther. And when she was brought up, her parents took her to wife for themselves, and the girl was beautiful in his sight. This is a bit of a weird translation. I looked into it already. He adopted the sister, just as the King James will tell you. All right. So she was his daughter. All right. He adopted her as his daughter. She was in his house. So the in his house is where they're translating as wife, making an assumption that he took her for his wife. All right. Because the word has a spectrum of meaning. It can mean wife. Um, well, it cannot mean wife. It's an assumption of wife. All it means is that he took her to his house. And they're saying culturally, once you take a woman to your house, there's a possibility of her being a wife. So they chose to use wife. But that's a huge intellectual jump. All right. And in the context of this, um, when you see sort of the actions of what's happening and the context of how it mentions that the young woman was the daughter of Aminadab, his father's brother. Her parents essentially died. She was an orphan. He didn't take her for a wife. He took her to raise her up as his daughter. Because had he taken her as a wife, sending her to um, Artaxerxes' court would have been sin, man. High treason against the Most High, worthy of death. Because now you're sending your betrothed to be the wife of another, and that's adultery. Okay, and Mordecai, who has two holy days dedicated to him within the nation of Israel, would not be praised for instigating adultery, family. All right, the Most High don't work like that. So, with all these clues, having these precepts in mind, we put together the picture that she was indeed just adopted and a daughter of his. That being said, and when the king's commandment, verse 8, was heard, many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace under the custody of Guy. And Esther was brought unto Guy, the keeper of women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained grace in his sight, and he hasted to give her her meat, which is her food, and her portion, and which is the dowry. Okay. And the seven maidens that were given her of the king's household. And he used her well and her maids among the women. Now, I looked into this as well. I mean, it doesn't say he used her well. Let me just let's see if I can get the English real quick. Um, uh, just bear with me. What's this, verse 9? Let's get the Greek. Okay, let's put this to the AI. Does not say he used her well. Sounds very suspect, but so I looked into it, okay? The young woman pleased him. She found favor before him. He hastened to give her her ointments, and her portion, and the seven young women designated for her from the palace, and he treated her well, and her maids in the women's quarters. All right, family. So that's what that says. Not he used her well. All right, where we at? Let's get this thing here. All right. Verse 10. But Esther showed not her kindred nor her father's house, for Mordecai had charged her that she would not show it. So Mordecai said, don't tell nobody you're going to um, the court of women in Persia. All right. And why is he telling her not to tell them? Because it is against the law, it's against spiritual law for um, Hebrew women to be given in marriage to um, non-Hebrew men. All right. And so Mordecai had a plan, understanding intricately the politics of uh, Persia, where he was, or the land of Artaxerxes. I think that was Babylon. Let me just check. Could have been Persia. Yeah, so it was Persia, the Persian Empire. All right, great. Mm, all right, but that's so. In any case, he knew the politics of the Persian Empire well, and knew that it would kind of look away that he sent Esther to the court of women. But he sent her there for a reason, for a righteous reason, having had that particular dream, and the Most High actually turned it to good. And we see that Esther uh, was not defiled by this man. Let's put it that way. All right. In any case, it was risky business. Um, But Mordecai, having forethought from Yahweh, or I can't even say foreknowledge from Yahweh, he did what he thought was best. I'll leave it like that. So every day Mordecai walked around the court of women to see what would happen to Esther. So he's checking on her. Now this was the time for a young woman to go in to the king when she was 12 months old. For so were the days of her purification fulfilled. Okay, so hopefully you can see she wasn't actually 12 months old. Her purification days were 1 year. 6 months with oil of myrrh and 6 months with perfumes and with the ointments of the women. All right, so this king made sure all the women were pure and clean, man, right? So even if they had any issues, they would heal before going into the presence of the king. Then she went in to the king, and to whomsoever he would give her, he delivered her to go in unto him from the women's quarter unto the king's chambers. Basically, she went in with her own entourage of servants. Okay, a coward enters, and by day he flees to the second women's court, where Gaius, the king's eunuch, is a keeper of women. And he never enters the king's presence again unless he is called by name. What this is really saying is when you enter the king's court, um, you cannot enter the king's court unless you are called by name. All right? That's a little bit of a weird translation there, okay? And you can look into it yourself by literally doing what I just did. Just copy um here on Bible Hub. Here on Bible Hub, from the Sweet Septuagint, copy the Greek and paste it into the AI uh, to get the translation. So Esther went in unto Artaxerxes the king in the 12th month. Sorry, 1 second. 15. Now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Aminadab, the uncle of Mordecai, was fulfilled to go in unto the king, no man detested that which the eunuch that kept the women had commanded, for Esther obtained favor in the sight of all that saw her. All right. So Esther went in unto Artaxerxes the king in the 12th month, which is Adar, in the 7th year of his reign. Okay, so she went into the king at that time. Now, the way it's worded in the King James, you believe that Esther went and slept with the king. But later on, you find out Esther never slept with the king. That didn't happen. All right. She was crowned in the coronation ceremony and actually hated the entire crown. Um, she hated the entire ordeal. Okay, but she did it in obedience to Mordecai, her uncle. All right, which shows the might of Esther as a woman trusting the men of the Most High. And today, you know, many of our women don't trust our men at all. Okay. Now I can't blame them. I have to blame the men because our men have failed our women by not holding on to righteousness, which is the only foundation that can protect the men and the women of the Israelite nation. We Negroes, our men have tried all other foundations and failed us miserably. And now they have become sellouts, Greeks, right? Integrating you continuously into your system of oppression, white supremacy, and slavery, from which you will never be free, okay? Which will destroy you, especially in this upcoming Third World War. When America falls, it's falling on the head of the ones at the bottom, and that's the Negroes, right? But anyway, um, we men who walk with the Most High, right, are the rebirth of our nation. Okay. For we walk with the God of the universe. Okay. Who gives us strength and protection against our enemies. And so the women and the children that walk with us are protected from the hand and mind of our enemies, right? And all else, all others are led to the slaughter. And that's pursuant to Second Esdras, the 16th chapter, right? I believe if you go, and just go from verse 1, right? And read on down. So Esther, in verse 16, went in unto the king Artaxerxes in the 12th month, which is Adar, in the seventh year of his reign. And the king loved Esther, and she obtained favor above all the virgins, and he put upon her the crown of women. See that? So he put the crown on her head, man, because he liked Esther so much, man. Right? He loved Esther. Scriptures here say. Now, those are just words because at the end of the day, the most I tell you, how do you know you love the children of God? When you love God and keep his commandments. How do you know you love the children of Yahweh? More accurately, when you love Yahweh and keep his commandments. So this was infatuation, right? Just so you guys know, right? I think that's First John 3 or 5. First John 5, 3, I believe that is. 5, 2, most likely. By this we know we love the children of Yahweh, when we love Yahweh and keep his commandments. So if you're not a commandment keeper, you don't actually love the children of Yahweh. You're just infatuated or obsessed. Something else. It's not love. In any case, the king made a feast for all his friends and his mighty men 7 days, and he increased Esther's feasts and gave pardon to all the people of his kingdom. Okay, rest, not pardon. Okay, and Mordecai was healed in the palace, but Esther had not showed her kindred, for so Mordecai had charged her to fear Yahweh and to do his commandments, as he was with him, and Esther did not alter her manner. So you see, even when things are looking gray, Esther um, was such a holy woman of the Most High that she obeyed her father, essentially Mordecai, man, and pleased him well, and went with the plan that he had, even though she couldn't see how this plan would benefit. And this plan ended up being the salvation of our people because we would have been annihilated by these so-called Europeans, these Edomites in this time, man. You and I would not be here right now if this didn't go down. Okay, let's keep reading. The king's two eunuchs, the captains of the guard, were grieved because Mordecai was advanced and sought to kill Artaxerxes the king. And the thing was told Mordecai, and Esther told it, and she showed the king the purpose. And the king had the two eunuchs hanged, and the king commanded that it should be written in the king's book for the good pleasure of Mordecai and for his praise. All right? Which we read in the introduction to Esther here. It says here, after these things did King Artaxerxes promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Macedonian, the braggart, okay, the vain braggart, and set him above all his friends. And all that were in the court bowed down to him, for so the king had commanded. But Mordecai bowed not to him. All right, so everyone's bowing down to the so-called European, to the oppressor, to the so-called white man. But Mordecai is not doing it, just like we Israelites today. Everybody is bowing down spiritually to Satan, man, right? To our oppressor, to the so-called European, but we will not bow down, okay? Not for pride, but for the honor of our God and our nation, right? To be exemplary, to be a good example as to how we ought to think and the mind that we ought to have in these times. So it says, and they that were in the king's court said unto Mordecai, Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment? So the king even commanded that people bow down to Haman, and Mordecai is like, I ain't doing that, right? Because Yahweh is above all men. And they spake unto him day by day, but he hearkened not unto them. And bear with me here. And they spake with him day by day, but he hearkened not unto them. And they told Haman Mordecai, who had spoken against the king's words. And Mordecai told them that he was a Jew. That's a little bit of a weird translation there. They spoke unto him day by day, but he hearkened not unto them. And they told Haman Mordecai, who had spoken against the king's word. And Mordecai told him that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow down to him, he was very wroth, right? Obviously, meaning very angry. And he sought to destroy all the Jews that were in the kingdom of Artaxerxes. All right. So because of Mordecai, he sought, as I said before, to destroy all the 12 tribes. And as we saw in the introduction as well, that this is why the righteous people cried out to the Most High. And in the 12th year of the reign of Artaxerxes, he made a decree and cast lots every day and every month to destroy in one day the family of Mordecai. Just bear with me here. Okay, so that's good. Just want to ensure that. All right, great. Welcome, Brother Winston. You there, bro?
Yes, shalom. I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, man. Shalom, shalom, shalom. So, and it says, and in the 12th year of the reign of Artaxerxes, he made a decree and cast lots every day and every month to destroy in one day the family of Mordecai. And the lot fell on the 14th day of the month, which is Adar. Now, this is really important. Every day he casts lots to destroy in one day the family of Mordecai, meaning he's trying to decide when he gonna destroy Mordecai and all the other Israelites. Okay. And the lot fell on the 14th day of Adar. All right. And what you'll see later on is that the Most High used this same day that he had planned to commit genocide against we Israelites. The Most High used it to commit genocide against the Edomites, him and his sons, and all the Edomites in the Persian Empire at that time. Yeah, yeah. So it says, and he spake unto Artaxerxes the king, saying, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the nations throughout all thy kingdom. This is Haman, right now, hissing in the air of Artaxerxes. He says, and their laws are strange above all nations. Our laws are what? The same? No, our laws are strange above all nations, meaning we are not like any other people on the planet. Our spiritual law is the spiritual law that comes straight from the throne of the Most High God. So it is not the same as anybody else's spiritual practice, because this is the correct spiritual practice. All right. We're not worshiping stones or animals, man. We're not worshiping anything that the hand of our Father made. We're worshiping the Father. Okay. We're not worshiping statues, man, wood and stone. We're worshiping the unseen king of the universe, described in the scriptures as a man with woolly hair who sits on a throne. You understand? Described as fire from the waist down, lightning from the waist up, who is described as making man in his image and his likeness, right? And all scientists know the origin of man is uh, uh, swarthiness, man. No man started as a pasty cave dweller, man. That was not the beginning of man. The beginning of man was the Negro, okay? So, in any case, says their laws are strange above all nations, and they transgress the king's laws, and it is not meet for the king to do them any good. So this is what the Edomite, the oppressor, is putting in the ear of the king. It's not good to do these people any good because they're too different. And by the way, they disobey your laws. right? Because we hold the law of the Most High above the law of man, this brother is using it as a linchpin um to guarantee our beheading, man, right? As a nation. It says in verse 9, if it please the king, let it be decreed that they be destroyed, and I will pay into the king's treasury 1,000 talents of silver. So this guy says, I'm gonna pay you to kill all these people, man, right? And today, our people are trying to integrate with our enemy, who is willing to pay big money out of his treasury for the license to destroy us. Okay? This has not changed. Now they don't have to pay. Now you pay. Now you pay. You pay your taxes, you pay your mortgage, you pay, and you're still destroyed mentally, and especially in Babylon the Great in America, you pay with your life, man, right? At the other end of a bullet. It says, and the king went about and gave his signet ring to Haman to seal it against the writings of the Jews. And the king said to Haman, the silver is to be mine, and the people is to be done as it pleases. So the plan worked, right? The king said, yeah, yeah, bring the silver, man, and yeah, deal with these people, right? Now, brother, did you want to take over? Oh, I'm almost done this one. Do you want to start the next chapter?
Sure.
Okay. It says, then were the king's scribes called in the 13th month, and they wrote according to all that Haman commanded, to the satraps and the governors. So the satraps is how do you call those, man? They're states that you control, but your people are not ruling there. All right. So just like the American Empire has NATO, what's the word for it? They pay you protection money essentially on an international level. All right. The word's not coming to me
The
here. Let me.
UN, you mean?
No, not the UN. It's a type of a political relationship. A subordinate local ruler, right? Provincial governor, right? So you're just a governor of the province, all right? Right? So yeah, you're just a governor of the province, a local ruler, but you're subjugated. You're ruled by Persia, all right? So you're just a Persian satrap. I'm really not catching the word that they use today. And they use it all the time in geopolitical analysis. And it's just not coming to me right now. But Israel is basically, for example, what's the word, man? Not proxy. This is gonna bother me. Um, let me just do satrap synonym. Wow, that's not good. Bear with me. All right. Viceroy, provincial governor, administrator, procurator, vassal. This is what I was looking for. Okay, so they're vassal states. All right. All right. So let's see here. So in verse
Brother
12 it
Mikhail,
says,
I'm going to step away for 5 minutes and be back, and then I'll let you know when I'm back to start reading.
no problem.
Okay.
Yeah. It says, then were the king's scribes called in the 13th month, and they wrote according to all that Haman commanded, to the vassals and the governors, which were all over all the provinces from India unto Ethiopia. All right. And 127 provinces to the governors of the people according to their commandment by Artaxerxes the king. All right. So in all the 127 provinces, the king wrote that the Israelites should be killed. All right. Take that in. Right. So across the entire empire, there is now war against the people of the Most High, decreed. All right. This happened then, and this will happen again. Okay. The Most High tells us in Second Esdras, the 16th chapter, that the wrath of a great multitude is going to burn against the Israelites again, this time against the righteous. And they're going to basically come get us, man, at our houses, right? And we gotta, at that time, get on the move, right? And be pilgrims upon the earth. And if you're wise, you'll prepare ahead of time so that when that's happening, you're nowhere near these cities and uh, nowhere near these cities at worst, and nowhere in the belly of the beast at best. Meaning you're not in America, you're not in Canada, you're not in Europe. Okay. And the best place to go is to the Caribbean. It is what it is. Don't go to Africa. Okay. So let's see here. And certainly don't go to Israel, right? Because the Most High said he's going to bring us into Israel, right? And remember the so-called African soldier into slavery, right? So I would advise against going there. Even understanding that Yahushua went there to hide at certain times, okay? There will be nowhere to hide in this final judgment. All right, when the whole world is at war, okay, and the hatred for the righteous who speak against all these kingdoms and tell you that it's good that they're falling. When that happens, um, in my opinion, knowing the scriptures, the best place to be is amongst your people. It says, and it was sent by couriers unto the kingdom of Artaxerxes to destroy the Jews upon the first day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take their substance. Is this what I want? Yes. And the copy of the letter is that the great king of, by the way, it was not the first day, right? We know it's the 14th and the 15th. And the copy of the letter is that the great King Artaxerxes to the princes and subjects of 127 countries from Ethiopia writes thus: Having ruled over many nations and over the whole world, I have resolved not to be carried away by the audacity of authority, but to be more lenient and always to conduct it with gentleness, to make the lives of those subject to me unshakable forever, and to grant both the kingdom that is daily and that passes to the end, and to renew the peace desired by all men. So these are the words of Artaxerxes saying, listen, man, I've resolved to have everybody live in peace in my kingdom, okay? To make a long story short, and to be able to express themselves and do their thing. And after consulting my counselors, how could this be done in the end, and having proved to be of unwavering and certain faith in the favor of the king and second to the kingship, Haman showed us that in all the tribes of the world there was a certain people who were hostile to him, contrary to the laws of every nation, and who constantly referred to the decrees of the king, so that the government, which was impeccably directed under us, would not be overthrown. So what is he saying here? He's saying, after speaking to my counselors, Haman showed us about a certain people that are against us and against him and against our government. All right. All praises. Welcome back, bro. So yeah, Artaxerxes is saying in the letter, there's a certain people against his government and his way of doing things, and these people are also against Haman. So, in order to prevent these people from essentially overthrowing his government or stopping the peace that he wants to provide in the world, he has to get rid of them, right? Now, where have we heard that before? Where have we heard of a people going in to destroy nations under the pretext of peace, man, right? Or under the pretext of the works of the Most High, right? This is the doctrine of colonization, man. This is the doctrine of what was it called? It's not the Monroe Doctrine. There's another one. It's at the tip of my tongue. Let me try to find it. What doctrine similar to Monroe Doctrine did Europe use to colonize the world? Not effective occupation. It almost came out, you know. Manifest destiny. Manifest destiny. That's what it was. Okay. So it is the destiny of the so-called white man to rule the world, and so he shall. Right? Look up the manifest destiny for the details. All right. So this guy's like, okay, well, you don't like me, then you gotta die, man. Right? So he says, therefore, since we are a nation that is unique in its reproduction and have adopted strange laws and have been doing the worst things to others and have been doing the worst things to us, and to the end that the kingdom will not be stable, they're saying this about the Israelites, okay? Since they are a nation, not we. We have therefore ordered that those who are mentioned in the letters written by Haman, the governor, and our second father to be completely destroyed by the swords of our enemies, without any mercy or sparing, on the 40th, it should be 14th, day of the 12th month of Adar, this present month, um, or this present year. You guys can look into that and see what that says. Probably this present year. So that the former and present adverse ones, having gone down violently to hell in one day, may in the future time provide us with stability and peace for the end. So again, genocide for peace. Okay, Israel today, the Israeli, was really the synagogue of Satan pursuant to Revelation 7:9 and Revelation 3:9. Sorry, Revelation 2 uh 9 and 3:9. They use the same doctrine, man. Okay? Genocide for peace. So see, these Edomites, what do you call it, tactics are not new, man. They're millennia old. And they work very well. It's witchcraft, man. Enchantment. Okay? They deceive you. They give you illusions. They deceive your mind and then do what they want with your body. Right? And everyone's like, no, no, it's all good, man. Right? Or many the I should say the plebes, the regular people are like, it's all good. The rulers know it's BS though, right? And they're mad at the so-called European man. And they want to destroy him, but they just don't have the power to do it. Okay, so let's see here. It says the best way to put it is they have a love-hate relationship with Esau, man. a hypocritical relationship, right? Because they don't like what he's doing, but they're using his democracy. But he used the democracy to oppress you. So why are you using the democracy, right? In any case, Revelation 2:9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. All right. So the whoever is saying that they are the Jews today and they're not the Jews, they're the synagogue of Satan. In another place, the Most High tells you that Jerusalem will be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And last time I checked, we who are Negroes telling you that we're Israelites, we're not in the land of Israel. The land of Israel, the Most High tell you, is trodden down by Gentiles. And if you pay attention to any geopolitical analyst, the geopolitical analyst will tell you that Netanyahu and his gang of Zionists are colonizers. They don't belong there. Netanyahu himself is an American convert to Judaism, right? In any case, Revelation 3:9 backs it up. It says, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Okay, so there is a fake people and a real people. Okay, and the real people went into worldwide slavery pursuant to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 47 to 48, and pursuant also to Joel, the third chapter. Okay. And many, many other scriptures. Baruch chapter 4. It's all over the Bible, man. Right? It's even in the New Testament. Is that Luke 24? Let's see. Bear with me. Luke 21. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, speaking of the Israelites, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, man, until the time of the Gentiles will be fulfilled. Okay? So the real people were led away captive into all nations. All right. When you check the historical record, they tell you that the Israelites began to be enslaved even after 70 CE, man. Right after that Great War, they took lots of them into Europe as slaves into Rome. Okay. Even when you read the book of Maccabees, prior to these Common Era wars, um, some of the Ishmaelites, who are so-called Arabs, were already gathering merchants to come and buy the children of Israel. Let me pull that up real quick. Okay, this is it right here. First Maccabees 1:41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Second. Uh, First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 41. The merchants of the country, hearing the fame of them, took silver and gold very much with servants and came into the camp to buy the children of Israel for slaves, man. Okay? A power also of Syria and of the land of the Philistines joined themselves to them. All right? So, um, when the so-called Europeans uh, came into Israel to war against us and massacre our people, as usual, they came with merchants to buy the children of Israel for slaves. All right. And following the pattern, or disobedience always leads to slavery for the Israelites, okay, or the so-called negroes who are the Israelites. So getting back here to Esther 3. In verse 14, it says, "And the copies of the letters were published in every province, and he commanded all the people to get ready against that day. And the matter was hastened also in Shushan. But the king and Haman were exiled, and the city was in an uproar." This doesn't say they were exiled. Let's see what. Uh, Now the matter was hastened also in Susa, but the king and Haman drank together while the city was in confusion. Okay, so everyone's in an uproar, and Haman and the king are having a good time. All right. So brother Winston, if you want to take over here for chapter 4, that'll be great. So we'll go back and forth if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, cool.
Okay, so chapter 4, verse 1.
Yeah, from verse 1, yeah.
Okay. When Mordecai learned what happened, he tore his clothes and put on his sackcloth and hair, and went out into the street of the city, crying with a loud voice, "A nation without justice is no more." He came to the king's gate and stood there, for he was not permitted to enter the court wearing sackcloth and hair. And in
Mhm.
every province, wherever the letters were sent, there was a great mourning, wailing among the Jews, and they put on sackcloth and hair.
Pause. So, what I want to point out here in these couple of verses is that Mordecai goes out into the street and says, "A nation without justice is no more." And if you look around you, the thing that the so-called Negro been crying for since he got here in the belly of the slave ship is justice, man. So this is not a new cry. This is also an ancient millennia old cry for justice. But our only justice comes by righteousness. If you build on a foundation of righteousness, you will get justice. If you do not build on a foundation of righteousness, you will be destroyed, right? So this is actually not in the King James. Like I don't know why. It's just not there. Even though the Greek specifically quotes that the brother said this, right? So I thought that was pretty interesting to point out. Go ahead, brother.
Then the queens, the eunuchs came in and told her, and she was in trouble. When she heard the matter and said to adorn Mordecai and take off his sackcloth, but he would not believe it. Then
Right,
Esther called for Akrath, her eunuch, who was before her, and sent to find out from Mordecai the matter.
right. So pause. That's eunuch, right? And
Or
what's
eunuch, okay.
happening? Yeah, that's fine. And what's happening is the queen's eunuchs are, coming in to tell her, hey, Mordecai's crying in the streets, right? And she sent the eunuch to find out, well, why is Mordecai crying in the street, right? So go on from verse 7.
And Mordecai told him the matter, and the promise that Haman had made to the king in the tribute of thousands talents to destroy the Jews.
Right?
And and the copy of the writing that was in Shushan for their destruction was given him to show unto Esther. And
Mhm.
he said unto him, When thou comest in, make thyself unknown unto the king and to the people. I will remember the days of thy humiliation, how thou
Mhm.
didst eat at my hand. For Haman, the king's second chamberlain, spake against us to put us to death. Now therefore entreat the Lord and speak unto the king for us and deliver us from death.
Right. So now Mordecai is telling her, listen, man, Haman got the king to decree that we be killed. So now I want you to come out and show everyone that you're the queen that you're an Israelite and you're the queen of Persia. Okay. Now I need you to use your power to save us from death. Okay. You can come out now and openly let our people know what's going on. All right. So read.
And how do you pronounce it? Enoch?
Eunuch.
Eunuch.
Yeah.
And the eunuch came in and told her all these words. And Esther said to eunuch, Go to Mordecai and say that all the people of the kingdom know that any man or woman that shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there shall be no salvation for him. But to him to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he shall be saved. I am not called to come into unto the king these 30 days. And the eunuch told Mordecai all the words of Esther.
Right. So essentially, Esther is saying, I can't go talk to the king because if I go talk to the king, I'll be killed. Because the king needs to call you into his council for you to be able to talk to him. Now, the funny thing is, she also states the caveat that is in the law, which is once the king holds out the golden scepter to you, you're okay. All right. So if you go in unannounced, you're gonna die. But if he hold out the golden scepter, you're gonna be saved. So you see, the scriptures say the Most High always has a way out for his people, right? I'm trying to remember the exact scripture. Uh, and he made a way out for her there, right? It's in the New Testament. First Corinthians chapter 10 from 13. There have no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man, meaning test. But Yahweh is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able, but will with the temptation or test or trial also make a way to escape that you may be able to bear it. All right. So this was a test for the nation of Israel, but there was as there always is, an escape, right? So let's see here. Read on from 13.
And Mordecai said to the eunuch, Go and tell Esther, say not to thyself that thou shalt escape in the kingdom more than all the Jews. For if thou disobey at this time, help and protection shall arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall perish. And who knoweth whether they had reigned at this, sorry, and who knoweth whether thou hast reigned at this time?
Right. So Mordecai is telling her, listen, if you don't help us, the Most High is going to help us, but you will be destroyed. Right? Straight up. Right? And then he kind of softens it to reason and says, listen, man, who knows whether or not you got the the queen's seat for this very reason, right? Go on.
Then Esther said to Mordecai, saying, Go gather together the Jews which are in Shushan, and fast ye for me, neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. And I and my brethren will fast, then will I go in unto the king contrary to the law, though I perish.
Pause. So there's I just want to point out that there's a couple different ways to fast within the scriptures. Whenever you do a dry fast, no food, no water, a serious thing is being requested from the Most High. So even in your fasting, if you're just doing a little fast, maybe from TV, from video games, from whatever, right? You're doing a little fast, and nothing's going on, increase the intensity of your fast. And you can increase the intensity of your fast by wearing rags. You can increase the intensity of your fast by making it a dry fast instead of just a small inconvenience. You can make it very inconvenient for yourself.
How about a water fast? 'Cause I do water fast all the time.
Yeah,
Just water.
you can do water fast, but my point is the most intense fast, the one that gets the message to the Most High quickest that this is an emergency is the dry fast. And so that's why she asked them to do this dry fast.
Right, right.
Yeah. So go ahead.
17.
Yeah.
And Mordecai went and did as Esther had commanded him. And he prayed to the Lord and remember all the works of Yahweh. And he said, O Yahweh, Lord King of all kingdoms, because all things are in your power, there is none that can withstand you to save Israel. For you have made heaven and earth and all the hosts of them under heaven, and you are Lord of all, and there is none that can withstand you. O Yahweh, you know all things. You know, O Yahweh, that I have not done this in vain, nor in pride, nor in vain. This is not to bow down to the proud Haman.
Hmm.
For they would gladly kiss the soles of his feet for salvation of Israel.
Pause. That should say I, right? For I would gladly kiss the feet of the soles
Okay.
of his feet for the salvation of Israel. Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't know.
Seven, seven.
7.
Yeah.
But I did this so that I would not exalt the glory of man above the glory of Yahweh, and I will not bow down to any but you, my Lord, and I will not do this in arrogance. And
Hmm.
now, O Yahweh, God, the King, the God of Abraham, beware of thy people, for they look upon us to destroy us, and they have thought to destroy thy inheritance from the beginning.
Hmm.
Turn not away thy portion, which I have redeemed thee out of the land of Egypt. Hear my supplications, have mercy on thy inheritance, and turn our mourning into blessings, that we may live and sing praises unto thy name, O Yahweh. And
Read.
do not destroy the mouth of them that praise thee. And
Hmm.
all Israel cried out with their might, for their death was before their eyes. And Esther the queen fled unto Yahweh in the midst of the battle, being in danger of death. And putting off her garments of glory, she put on garments of sorrow and mourning. Instead of her proud apparel, she put on sackcloth and dung. And she humbled herself greatly and went every place of the world.
Right.
I lost it.
Sorry. Yeah, my
I
bad.
lost it. I lost it.
Every place of the world.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Every place of the world of her joy with her and with her hair disheveled.
Right. So pause for a second. So she took off all the queen garments. She put on her sackcloth and wouldn't even comb her hair, do her hair, nothing like that. Right. So humbled herself greatly, greatly. It said in sackcloth and dung, man. And in those times, our people would put animal dung either upon their heads,
So dung
upon the
means waste, human waste, animal waste.
yeah, animal waste, not usually human waste.
Hmm.
Yeah, upon themselves, just to humble themselves, you understand? Greatly before the Most High. So she did all of that as the queen of Persia, man. I wouldn't even comb her hair, right? So fasting in symbolically in sackcloth and ashes, right? So that the Most High would see that this is an emergency. This is not a game, right? So go ahead.
And she
14.
beheld 14, and she beheld Yahweh of his Lord God of Israel and said, O my Lord, O King, thou art alone. Help me alone, and there is none to help but thee. For my peril is in my own hand, and I have heard from the birth in the tribe of my fathers that you, O Yahweh, took Israel from among all the nations and our fathers, from among all their fathers, for an everlasting inheritance, and have done them as you promised.
Hmm.
But now we have sinned against you. You have delivered us into the hand of our enemies because we glorified their gods. You are
Hmm.
righteous, O Yahweh. And how they are not satisfied with the bitterness of our service, but they have stretched out their hands
Yeah. So, and now they're not satisfied with us being in slavery, right? But they stretch out their hands to do what? Go ahead.
to dry up the decree of your mouth and to destroy your inheritance and to
Right?
stop the mouth of those who praise you and extinguish the glory of your house and your altar.
Hmm.
And to open the mouth of the nations to the virtues of the vain, and to marvel at the fleshly king forever.
Right?
Do not, O Yahweh, sorry, do you want me to stop now?
No, no,
Keep
no.
going? Oh, okay. Do not, O Yahweh, give your scepter to them, and let them not laugh at your fall, but turn their will upon themselves, and make us an example of what has begun.
Yeah, pause.
Okay.
So he says, Don't give your scepter to them, Father. That's what Esther prays, right? Don't let them laugh at our fall, right? But turn their will upon their own self and make us an example of what has begun. And what has begun is war. I said earlier on that the month of Adar is the real Black History Month, you know? And as you will see in this account, it says the whole month is supposed to be a month of celebration. Celebration of what? Victory in war over our enemies who tried to kill us, man.
Right.
Both times it was the Edomite. Both times it was the so-called European. The day of Maccabees celebrates Maccabeus' victory over the general Nicanor, who pointed out his hand towards the temple of the Most High and said, if the priests don't give him Maccabeus as a prisoner, he's gonna destroy it. The Most High decapitated that man, cut out his tongue, feed it to the birds, and cut off his hand as well. Killed that man. He died first. Yeah, when he came to battle. And the Most High used us to slaughter 35,000 of his soldiers, and we only had something like 5,000. We only had 5,000 soldiers, right? And then now we're seeing, so that was a hot war, right? And then
Right.
now we're seeing a more subversive war, political intrigue, right? A war in the courts of Persia to fight against the genocide of our people, man, right? And this is what Adar is about. The whole month commemorates this, and then we have those three special days, uh, uh, Maccabeus Day, where we commemorate the death of Nicanor trying to kill us by genocide. And then we have Purim, or the Day of the Guardians, the Day of the Watchmen, which is the secret I was telling people would be revealed in this. It's actually called the Day of the Watchmen or the Day of the Guardians, because that word Purim, um, scholars say, is really a different word, right? That doesn't mean lots. It means guardians. So Esther and Mordecai actually acted as guardians to save our people from genocide and to turn that genocide on the head of the same Edomites again. So throughout history, this has always been our top enemy, the same one that has our people in slavery today celebrating Black History Month. This is the real Black History Month. It's not about telling people you invented peanut butter, man. You understand? Or the light bulb. It's about us, what do you call it? Taking joy uh, in victory over our enemies. Indeed, this is what the entire faith is about concerning, sorry, in pursuant to Revelation chapter 13, verse 9 and 10. Okay, which tells you everyone that took us into captivity is going, and everyone that killed us with the sword is getting killed with the sword. This is about vengeance, okay, by the hand of the Most High God, and you get to watch the movie. Okay. So that being said, uh, let us understand these uh three holy days and the real Black History Month, which is this month of Adar. Okay, which we're about halfway, we're almost halfway through right now, right? Because more what do you call it? The day of Maccabeus begins today at sunset, and then tomorrow at sunset until Thursday at sunset is Purim, or the Day of the Watchmen, or the Day of the Guardians, right? So let us continue. All these things will come forth and be plain through the reading of our ancestors' translation of our scriptures into Greek. All this will be made uh, plain in the reading. So stick around. Continue, brother. Where you at?
21.
Go ahead.
And to open the mouth of the nations to the virtues of the vain, and to marvel at a fleshly king forever. Do
Hmm.
not, O Yahweh, give your scepter to them and let them laugh at our fall, but turn their will upon themselves and make us an example of what has begun.
Hmm.
Remember, O Yahweh, and be known in the time of our troubles, and give me courage, O King of gods, and of all rulers. Give me a wide mouth before the lion. Turn his heart to hate him that fighteth against us, to the
Hmm.
destruction of him and of them that are with him.
Hmm.
But deliver us into thy hand, and help me alone, and have none but thee. O Yahweh, thou knowest all things, and thou knowest that I have hated the glory of the wicked, and have adored the I can't the
Abhorred, not adored. Abhorred.
okay. Oh, sorry. I abhorred the bed of the uncircumcised and every strange thing.
Hmm.
Thou knowest
Pause,
my
pause.
okay.
So this is how you know the sister never sold out, right? So even though her uncle Mordecai sent her into the court of the women, all right, of the royal house of the king to be taken care of, you understand? And essentially just to be taken care of, because once you're in the court of the women, they give a dowry. You get money, you get servants, you're well taken care of. You're living like royalty. You're living in the palace. So even though Mordecai sent her to live in the palace as a slave, essentially, a concubine of the king, this is what she says. She's like, I've hated the glory of the wicked. She was not enjoying herself, man. She didn't like it. She said, I've abhorred the bed of the uncircumcised, meaning I will not sleep with this guy. When something is abhorred, you don't touch it. It's like poop. You see poop, somebody trying to get you to touch, you're like, ugh. She said, I've abhorred the bed of the uncircumcised, which means she did not lay with this king, man. Okay? And I've also abhorred every strange thing. So they try to give me pork, anything like that. I'm not dealing with it. Okay? So I just wanted to point that out that the sister kept herself even though he put the crown of the queen upon her, right? She never slept with this guy. Okay? And all praise to the Most High because that's illegal spiritually, right? So go ahead.
Thou knowest my affliction, that I have abhorred the mark of my pride, which is upon my head in the days of my vision. I abhor it as a sack of sackcloth, and will not bear it in the days of my rest.
Pause. So even the crown, she says she hate, man. She said, once people are not watching me, I don't wear this crown. Now, how many sisters today, who are part of the harem of let's say they became part of the harem of I don't know, Epstein, for example. How many of them would say, every time I hate wearing these red bottoms, man, and I hate driving in this damn Lamborghini. And as soon as um I'm done with the award shows or all these galas that I have to go to because my uncle, commanded me to go, I just dash these things and I treat it like sackcloth, man. In the King James, it says she treats it like a menstruous rag. She don't want to touch it, right? How many sisters have that mindset, right? Oh, have our sisters sold out to the beast, man. And our sisters so desperate for things that they give up their pride, their integrity, right? And their heritage, man, just to be able to wear some red bottoms and drive in a Lamborghini and fly in a private jet, man, you know? So this is the standard for the women of Israel to be so sold out for the Most High that even if these people come with a lavish lifestyle, man, you don't value these things, right? The thing you value most is righteousness, right? So I just wanted to point that out. Go ahead, brother.
And thy handmaid did not eat at Haman's table, neither did I come to the king's feast, nor drink the wine of the libations.
Right.
And
Pause. And the libations is when they're pouring out drinks, for their gods. You understand what I'm saying? Probably
okay,
for their dead homies. You understand what I'm saying? She's
yeah.
like, I didn't do none of that, man. Right? Haman, I didn't eat at Haman's table, man. Anything this guy was offering, I didn't take it. Okay? I didn't come to the king's feast, um, probably in honor of Haman. Okay, so I didn't have nothing to do with these damn Edomites, Dad. Right? Hear my prayer. Right? Go ahead.
And thy handmaid has not rejoiced from the day of my transgressions, even until now, save in thee, O Yahweh, God of Abraham. O
Right.
Yahweh, that is mighty over all, hear the voice of the afflicted and deliver us out of the hand of the wicked. Deliver me from my fear.
Right. And I believe the transgression she's talking about here is even going to this damn house in the first place, right?
Right.
And we'll see evidence of that later. You guys can make up your own mind with that, but I think this is what she's talking about,
It makes
right?
sense.
Yeah. And then she asked the Most High to hear her, okay, and deliver us out of the hand of the wicked. So again, here's another precept showing who the wicked is. We have Job 9:24 saying the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So we can link that up and see that is the so-called European. But this guy Haman is a Macedonian. He is a Greek. He is a so-called European. So there are straight shot clues and there are mysteries that you have to uncover that all keep pointing back to the same enemy, okay? To the same wicked man. So this guy is the wicked of the earth. He is the wicked that the Bible keeps talking about, right? So don't let nobody fool you. Don't let nobody bamboozle you. Don't let nobody soften your resolve. Yahweh is against our oppressor and shall destroy him and all who side with him. Here's a foreshadowing of this because the sister higher up we read prayed that the Most High destroy Haman and those that are with him. You understand? That includes sellout Hebrews, man. Many sellout Hebrews are with our oppressors and they're helping our oppressors to oppress us. Yahweh will destroy them. And I said it before and I'll say it again, pursuant to Isaiah 65, verse 11 and 12. He promised that he will destroy you if you side with his enemies, right? So thank you, brother. I'll take chapter 5 here. How are we doing for time? I think we're okay. Yeah, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
All right. So it says here, and it came to pass on the third day as she rested in prayer that she took off the garments of healing and was surrounded by her glory. You see, I love that. They call it the garments of healing. That is awesome. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up, right?
Right.
Amazing. Okay, so she took off the garments of her healing and was surrounded by her glory. And having become manifest, calling upon the all-seeing God and Savior, she received the two Abras. Now, these Abras, this just means the two people that uh support her as she's going into the presence of the king. So essentially, her bodyguards or servants, okay, her chaperones into the king's court. All right. So she got up on the third day, and after having fasted, she received her two chaperones. Okay. And with one, she served as if she were being tender, while the other followed, plucking her garment. Okay. So one of them were lifting up her clothes, and the other one was basically supporting her. She blushed with the splendor of her beauty, and her face was radiant as if she were loved, but her heart was narrowed with fear. Okay, so this is why she prayed for the Most High to give her a wide mouth in the presence of the lion. Okay, the lion, of course, being the king. And she was shook, man, because she's going before the king of 100 and something provinces, man. This guy has the power to kill her today right now. Yeah, and then all he has to do is say guards, and that's the end of her life. All right. And verse 6, and entering all the gates, she stood before the king, and he sat upon the throne of his kingdom and was arrayed in all the apparel of his countenance, all of gold and precious stones, and was exceedingly terrible. So the man looked frightening. And the king saw his face burning with glory in the heat of his anger, right? Sorry. So when she saw the king's face, okay, burning with glory in the heat of his anger, because he was mad when she just showed up, the queen fell, and her color was changed into crimson, and she fell upon the head of the maid that went before. Okay, so she fainted, man. And Yahweh turned the king's spirit into gentleness, and he sprang up um, from his throne in anguish, and took her up in his arms until he sat down and spoke to her with words of peace. I just want to point out that indeed that the king Artaxerxes was a hard man. The man looked terrifying as she's coming towards him. And when she disturbs him unannounced, he was pissed till she fainted. And then the man softened up. You see that? You only catch this detail in the Greek version. This detail is not what's the word? Communicated in the King James, right? Which is why I encourage you guys to read it for yourselves afterward. But this is a much richer um description of the events, right? Which is why I wanted to read this year. We've never done it, and it's a nice little bonus as we're keeping um, the Purim to get this extra insight. Verse 9, and he said unto her, what is it, Esther? I am your brother. Be of good courage. You shall not die, for our common commandment is, come. And he took the golden scepter, see, the same way out, and put it on her neck, and smote it, and said, speak to me. Right? And she said unto him, I saw thee, O my Lord, as an angel of God, and my heart trembled for fear of thy glory. For thou art wonderful, O my Lord, and thy countenance is full of grace. And when she was come, she fell down from the throne, and the king was troubled, and all his counselors besought her. And the king said, what wilt thou, Esther, and what is thy rank? To the half of my kingdom, and it shall be thine. He's asking what is her request, not rank, okay? What do you want, Esther? All right. I'll give you up to half my kingdom. Then said Esther, today is my day of honor. If it please the king, let him and Haman come to the banquet that I have prepared today. And the king said, make haste, Haman, that we may do as Esther hath said. And they were both brought into the chamber which Esther had appointed. And at the banquet the king said unto Esther, what is it, Queen Esther? And let it be as thou wilt. And she said, my petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, this if I have found favor is inserted, so I'll just read the part that's not inserted. And she said, my petition and my request is, in the sight of the king, let the king and Haman come tomorrow also to the chamber that I shall prepare for them, and tomorrow I will do it. Meaning tomorrow I'll tell you my request. And Haman went out from the king's presence joyful and glad. But when Haman saw Mordecai the Jew in the court, he was filled with wrath. Because remember, Mordecai is checking on Esther every day. And he went in and called his friends and Zoar his wife, and showed them all his riches and the honor that the king had bestowed upon him, and how he had made him chief and ruler in the kingdom. So this is the Edomite now boasting, right? And Haman said, the queen brought no man into the banquet with the king but me. And tomorrow I will bring, meaning tomorrow he's going to go again. And it displeases me when I see Mordecai the Jew in the court. And at this time, he doesn't know Esther is an Israelite, right? So he's not talking about being displeased with Esther, but he's displeased when he see Mordecai the Jew. Then said Zosara, his wife, and his friends unto him, let a gallows be cut for thee, 50 cubits high, and in the morning speak unto the king, and let Mordecai be hanged thereon. But go thou into the palace with the king, and rejoice. And the thing pleased Haman, and the gallows was prepared. So the man's vexed now, seeing Mordecai all the time. So his friends tell him, just build a gallows, man, and kill Mordecai, right? And that had him feel better. He's like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do that still, and we're gonna deal with Mordecai. So go ahead, brother.
And the Lord turned away the king's sleep that night, and he commanded his steward to bring letters of remembrance of the days that he might read them to him. And he found the letters written against Mordecai, as he had told the king concerning the two eunuchs of the king who had kept them, and to seek to lay hands of the how do you pronounce that again? The
Um,
Art
Artaxerxes.
Artaxerxes upon them.
So
Then the
pause.
king.
I just want
Okay.
to kind of correct the thing there because the translation is a bit weird here. The letters were not written against Mordecai. They were written in support of Mordecai, right? The letters that were written about, they should say about Mordecai as he had told the king concerning the two eunuchs, right? Because Mordecai exposed an assassination attempt. So the letters were not against Mordecai, but about him, right? So go ahead from 3.
Then the king said, what honor or kindness have we done to Mordecai? And the king's servant said, thou hast done him nothing. And while the
Hmm.
king was yet speaking to the king for good pleasure of Mordecai, behold, Haman was in the court. And the king said, who is in the court? And Haman came in to speak, and the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he on the gallows that he had prepared.
Yeah.
And the king's servant said, behold, Haman standeth in court. And the king said, call him. And the king said to Haman, what shall I do unto the man whom I delight to honor? And Haman
Hmm.
said in his heart, whom shall the king honor, if not me?
Hmm.
And he said unto the king, for the man who the king delighteth to honor, let the king's servants array the man whom the king delighteth to honor, and the horse which king rideth upon. And let one of the king's most honorable friends array the man whom the king delighteth to honor. And let him cause him to ride upon the horse, and proclaim in the street of the city, thus shall it be done unto every man whom the king delighteth to honor.
Right. Right. So what do you call it? Haman comes in. The king asks him, "Hey, what?" He comes in the middle of the king trying to decide what he's gonna do for Mordecai, right? And he thinks the king is deciding what he wants to do for him. So he speaks of being given the highest honors, all right? Putting on the king's robes and riding his horse, and then yeah, crying out throughout the city as the person is being led on the horse. Um, favor, right? Um, crying out in favor towards the person riding on the horse, thinking that it's gonna be him. But he was doing all of that for Mordecai, right? So go ahead.
What chapter?
10,
Then,
verse 10.
then the king said to Haman, you have spoken well. So do to Mordecai the Jew who is sitting in the palace, and let nothing of what you have spoken fail you.
Hmm.
Then Haman took the robe and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and made him ride on the horse, and went through the street of the city, and proclaimed, thus shall it be done to every man whom the king delights to honor.
Pause. Notice also Haman said, let one of the king's friends do it. Right? Let one of the king's friends be the one to walk around and honor the person so everybody knows this is real. This is not no, rinky-dink thing. It's not a jester making a joke. It's real. So he has Haman, who is second to him, ride Mordecai through the town in the king robe, right? On the royal horse, bigging up Mordecai, man. Now, this is really important because now you have the proper order of things. You have an Edomite um, giving honor to the children of the Most High, which is how it's supposed to be. But look what the scriptures tell us would happen um, instead, right? Let's see. So you have the You have the prince on a horse, as it should be, and the servant or the slave walking beside him, leading him on, right? This situation with Mordecai is a microcosm of what's going to happen in the world when we get our rulership back. The Most High says everyone's going to know that I am the Most High. Everyone's going to know that you are my people, and they're going to know exactly who you are, and they have to deal with you according to who you are, or they're going to perish. Simple, right? And not only will and the perishing is not, oh, you're gonna die and then that's the end of it. The Most High has a eternal torture set up for you, right? In the spiritual realm and in the physical realm, right? So, um, if you don't want to live in torments, humble yourself. But here in Second Kings 7:13, the Most High tells you how things would flip and what it would turn into, right? So he says, where is it? Is this it here? This is not it. Just give me a second here. Yeah, there it is. So this is Ecclesiastes 10 and 7. It says, I have seen servants upon horses. Really, this says slaves. And princes walking as servants upon the earth, man. See that? Folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in a low place. Folly is set in great dignity. Democracy, white supremacy, colonization is folly, man. So-called liberty is folly, man. Right? The most I tell you the what's the word he uses? The vile. The most I said there will come a time that the vile person will no longer be called liberal, man. Right? This whole idea of liberty is actually wicked. Because what is this liberty referring to? Sinning as much as you want, man. This is villainy, not liberty, right? Fitting perfectly with 2 Corinthians 11:14 that tells you Satan always appears as an angel of light and his ministers appear as ministers of righteousness. So they always pretending to tell you what's good when really they're destroying your soul. Okay? So in the King, I like how the King James puts it. Oh my gosh. Verse 5 here. It says, the vile person shall, oh, sorry. Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. That's not happening right now. And a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. And the eyes of them that see shall not be dim, and the ears of them that hear shall hearken. Notice it says the eyes of them that see. So you gotta see, okay? Meaning what? The Most High says in another place that He gives men the thing that they want. So in your heart of hearts, the thing you desire, you shall have. If it's righteousness, you'll have righteousness. If it's liberalism, you'll have liberalism. Whatever you want, the Most High have it for you, right? So your desire should be to please Him, and you shall have that, right? The heart also of the rash shall understand knowledge, and the tongue of the stammerer shall be ready to speak plainly. The vile person at that time shall no more be called liberal, nor the churl, which is the greedy person, said to be bountiful, man. So these are the things coming upon the earth. All right. Um, Folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in a low place. Um, I have seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth. All right. And the princes um, walking as servants are the Israelites, because we are the princes of the world, right? Pursuant to Second Esdras, the sixth chapter from the 53rd verse onward, the Most I tell you, He literally made the world for our sake. Okay, so this place wouldn't even be here if not for us, you know. Going back here, so you see the proper order in which things should be, right? The man of sin, the wicked at the bottom, and the prince, the children of Israel walking in righteousness at the top. Honored and decreed, honored and announced to be honorable throughout the streets um, of the world, right? Because remember, Artaxerxes was a ruler of the world, right? I just want to point that out. I think you're on 12.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Then Mordecai returned to the court, but Haman returned to his own place, sorrowful to the core.
He was
And
what?
Haman, sorrowful to the core.
The man was vexed, sorrowful, sad. See, this oppressor is sad when he has to honor the so-called Negro, man. He doesn't want you, to admit who you are or
No,
want you to be honored, man. You're supposed to be the scum of the earth. That's how he want people to see you. Out of jealousy. The most I tell you, it's an old jealousy and an old hatred. In Amos 1:11, he tell you it's an old hatred, man. And in another place, he tells you it's jealousy, right? Because the man want everything, but everything actually belongs to you. And he refused to humble and get his portion in Mount Seir, man. Even though the man actually has a portion. You see, Mount Seir, as I said before, was strategically placed on one of the most important trade routes in the world. The man had a port where you had to pay him taxes to use the port down there in Edom, man. You know, Elat, the port of Elat was owned by the Edomites. So the man had a portion. In the caves of Mount Seir, he was a king. The highway that went from Egypt up into so-called Europe is his highway. When you pay the toll, you pay it to him. When the Israelites came through the land, he was reigning there as a king. But because he's a bottomless pit and a churl, which is greedy and cannot be satisfied, and takes all things by blood and won't just stay in his own damn land, he has to be annihilated. Because the most I tell you, even when everyone is doing righteousness in Isaiah 26, verse 10, this guy's still gonna do evil, man. Right? So you gotta get rid of a man like that, you know, which he certainly will, pursuant to the book of Obadiah. So finish what you're saying.
and Haman told Zosara, his wife, and his friends everything that had happened to him. And his friends and his wife said to him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, he will come and humble himself before him and fall down. He will not be able to defend himself, for Yahweh is with him.
So
While they were,
pause.
okay.
Pause. So his friends and his wife said to him, well, this is a bit of a weird translation. It's not actually what it says. It's telling you that they said to him that if Mordecai is a Jew, you can't fight against him, okay? Because Yahweh works for this guy, right? Yahweh is with him. Um, that's what they're telling him. Haman recounted to Zora's wife and to his friends everything that had happened to him, and his friends and his wife said to him, if Mordecai is of the seed of the Jews and you have begun to be humbled before him, you will surely fall. See that? You will by no means be able to avenge yourself against him, for the living God is with him, man. The man's own wife told him that, and his friends. These are Persians in the kingdom of Artaxerxes, man, in the Persian Empire. They know Yahweh is God, man. All these people knew about the ancient acts from Egypt. This came down through time. These people knew this wasn't a sham. But now Esau has convinced everyone the spirit realm doesn't exist. It's imaginary and there's no order to it, there's no law to it. You just do what you feel like. But there's law and order in everything else that's real. There's spiritual law, people. That's the big secret. And it's the foundation of reality. And if you don't live according to it, you will surely die. You have failed the test of life and you will perish forever, right? And if you live according to it, you have passed the test of life and your reward is life eternal. But it takes humility. You see, if the nobles and the real nobles and princes of the earth, people like Esther, have to humble themselves in ashes and dung, what about you, who's not noble, who's just a commoner in the kingdom of the Most High? You ought to humble yourself too, but you will not because you've been convinced that the so-called Negro is less than nothing when he is the ruler of the planet and the owner thereof, you know? So beware. Beware of deception and trickery, and humble yourself greatly before the Most High, ye nations and ye children of Israel. Just bear with me here. Get these last couple verses here in this one. Go ahead.
While they were still speaking, the eunuchs hurried Haman to the banquet that Esther had prepared.
Right. Okay. So they warn him, bro, if the Most High is humbling you before this guy, you're gonna fail. You should stop now. Right? And then they came to get him to go to the festival. Remember, Esther already prayed against this man, that the Most High destroy him. So his destruction is sure, right? These guys don't know. But when you pay attention to the subtleties, the wheels are already in motion, and there's no saving Haman at this time. Just like the wheels are already in motion for the oppressor today, and there is no saving this man. Why did they go and kill the high priest of Iran, right? 2 days ago, right? Today is the 2nd of March, 2026, according to their calendar right now. 2 days ago, they killed the high priest of Iran, a Muslim nation. Are you dumb? Do you guys not realize this is gonna cause jihad? Do you guys not realize this is going to shut down your economy because 40% of the oil that comes to the West goes to the Strait of Hormuz that Iran can close, man? Do you guys not realize these guys have enriched uranium? You guys know that. Y'all know they have the enriched uranium and can quickly build a nuclear weapon, right? But you don't care. You just want regime change so you can stop China, so you can stop Russia. You don't know how to be anything but a bully and a thief. And you work for the synagogue of Satan, who's trying to actually build the third temple in Jerusalem to defy the Most High God. This is the thing that will bring the world into utter and complete destruction in World War III. This is it. I woke up and when I heard this announcement, I said, okay, here we go. Another coal for the fire. Some more fanning of the flame. Even geopolitical analysts tell you from now, there's no turning back. Iran will fight. And if
They
Iran's
refused
fight,
the ceasefire. They refused the ceasefire.
they refuse this. Bro,
Yeah.
they're not gonna do no ceasefire. You kill their high priest.
Hmm?
This
Eye
is
for an eye now.
war.
Eye
Now,
for an eye. Yeah.
this is war and everywhere these guys are. It is war against America right now, and they don't want to hear nothing. This guy has been ruling for 37 years, bro, in that place as these people's high priest. You kill that man, you're a fool. right? But Yahweh told us that at the end of time, he would put a bridle in the mouth of the leaders, causing them to err. So the same way Haman is going to his death because it has already been decreed by the Most High, America is going to its destruction because it's already been decreed by the Most High. Even though everyone can tell that all the moves they're making is foolish, it cannot be stopped. You understand? Because the Most High have the bridle in the mouth and say the horse is going left now. You guys have done enough, you know? So yeah, let's that's what's going on in the world today, right? So begin, if you haven't started, prepare your soul for the destruction of the American empire. It's going to impact it's going to flatten the whole world. That's what's going to happen. All right. And we have this spoken of in our scriptures, and we've done lessons on this over and over again, right? I'm probably going to do just a quick one, like a shorter something, like a 3, 5 minute, just analyzing this thing sometime in the next couple of days. Anyway, finishing up or moving on, um, getting back on course, on the main course, because that side street relates. Getting back on the main course in chapter 7 of Esther. Sorry, was there something else you wanted to say, bro?
No.
Before I continue?
Okay, you ready? Continue reading.
No, I was asking if there's something else you wanted to say before I continue, because you read the last chapter, right?
Right, right. No, you can
Yeah,
go
so
ahead.
I'll read this chapter.
Okay.
It says, then the king and Haman came in to meet the queen. And the king said unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is it, Queen Esther? And what is thy petition? And what is thy dignity? And it shall be thine, even to the half of my kingdom. And she answered and said, if I have found grace in the sight of the king, let my life be granted at my petition, and my word at my dignity. For I and my people are brought to destruction, to plunder, and to slavery, we and our children as boys and girls, and I have transgressed, for the devil is not worthy of the king's court. So here Esther calls Haman the devil, man. Okay? You see why they have to soften these things in the Christian church, right? Because the arrow keeps pointing, yup, Satan, devil, him, slanderer, that's the guy. Esther says the devil is not worthy of the king's court. And the king said, who is this that would presume to do this thing? Who's this devil? Esther said, this wicked man is an enemy. This is kind of weirdly translated, right? This wicked man is the enemy Haman. All right, this is what it should say. And Haman was troubled before the king and the queen. All right. So the queen now accused him in the queen accused him in the king's face and said, this devil that's trying to kill me and my people and enslave us is Haman. And the king arose from the banquet into the garden, and Haman was come unto the queen, for he saw himself in the midst of wicked men. What this really says is he saw that he was in trouble, and the king was vexed. All right. And the king returned out of the garden, and Haman was cast upon the bed worthy of the queen. So, right? And the king said, will he also rape a woman in my house? Um, it says in the King James, will he also force the queen in my house? And Haman, hearing it, was displeased with his countenance. All right. Then said Boaz, one of the eunuchs unto the king, behold, Haman have prepared a gallows for Mordecai, which spake against the king, which spake, sorry, for the king, and there is a gallows 50 cubits high for Haman. So now one of the guards, one of the eunuchs, one of the guards says, "Oh, you vexed? Haman built a gallows for Mordecai, right?" And he says to him, "This gallows is 50 cubits high for Haman." So the eunuch is like, yo, hang Haman on there. And the king said, let him be hanged thereon. So Haman was hanged on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. A second ago, we didn't read the scripture, but around the scripture, that one of the scriptures that we read, it said, he that diggeth a pit shall fall in it. This is directly talking about our oppressor doing everything to destroy us and the Most High turning it to destroy him. Okay? Recognize that the goal of the Zionist regime to build the third temple, okay, um, is a mega pit that has been built for the children of Israel. The goal of the Zionist regime is to make people forget who the real Israelites are, okay, and never remember them. It's to bury us, right? And the Most High is using this very plot to bury them and their entire empire, which is the American empire, right? So Haman was hanged on the gallows that he prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath quenched. This is so amazing. Amazing foreshadowing of the uh eschatological events of the world, right? Which is the end time events of the world. The king, of course, being Yahweh, who is satisfied by the destruction of the people that tried to destroy his people, right? And then yeah, uh, just awesome. Esther 8. Go ahead, brother, when you're ready. Are you there?
I was reading on mute. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
On that day, King Artaxerxes gave Esther all that Haman had given to the devil, and Mordecai was invited by the king. For Esther had shown that he was her friend, and that the king took off Haman's ring and gave it to Mordecai, and Esther set Mordecai above all Haman.
Pause. So again, it's kind of weirdly translated, but it's basically saying that Artaxerxes gave Esther everything Haman, the devil or the slanderer, okay, owned. All right. And then Mordecai was invited by the king uh to the palace because Esther had showed that they were related, okay? And then the king took off Haman's ring, gave it to Mordecai, so he gave him the whole house of Mordecai. Haman, sorry. And Esther set Mordecai above all that Haman owned. All right. So the same way the Most High tells us in Second Ezra 6:9, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of all that followeth. The wealth transfer is happening as well. Um, Let me just bring out a couple of scriptures on that. Um, let's see. So this is what will happen when the kingdom is established. Isaiah 60, verse 11. I'll go from 10. The sons of the stranger shall build up thy walls, their kings shall minister unto thee. Right? So the rulers of these other kingdoms gonna serve the Israelites. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor I have had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually, they shall not be shut day or night. Why? That men might bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings might be brought. The forces of the Gentiles is their possessions, okay? And they're bringing their kings for servitude, right? I want to see if I can grab another one as well. Let's see. I'm drawing a blank on the other one that I wanted to pull up. Mm. It's talking about the ones that hoard up riches. I think this is it. Proverbs, let's see here, Proverbs 13:22. There we go. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, meaning forever. But the sinner's wealth is passed to the righteous man. See that? Okay. Let's see what else we have here in 226. The sinner's wealth is passed to the righteous. Ah, yeah, this is the other one I like. To the man, let's go. Mm. For God giveth to a man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy, but to the sinner he giveth travail. To gather and to heap up. So the sinner he give him work, gather it up, heap it up, that he may give to him that is good before Yahweh. Okay. This also it says here is vanity and vexation of spirit, but these are not the actual, that's not an accurate translation. We can talk about that some other time. All right. Let me know if you want to know in the comments and I'll break this down. Or you can just go look at it in the interlinear and you'll see that it's this phrase is not, doesn't really give the true sense. Okay. He doesn't say it's vanity and vexation of spirit here. But the point being, the sinner heaps up to give to the one that is good before the Most High, the righteous. And this is what happened to Haman. Okay, he did all his unrighteousness and all his deceiving and all his trickery, so that he can his entire house can be given to Mordecai. All right, and it's the same thing happening with the oppressor today. He's heaping up trillions. The Rothschilds and the other names that people don't know and don't remember, all of them are heaping up wealth and amassing fortunes to hand it over to the children of Israel, unbeknownst to them, right? All the gold, all the silver, they think it's theirs and they'll have it forever, and they think their names will continue forever, pursuant to the scriptures. But the Most High says they're heaping it up to give it to the righteous, right? All right, that's all on that. Continue, brother. I think you're in verse 3.
And she spake further unto the king, and fell at his feet, and said, Is it meet to put away the wickedness of Haman, or all that he had done unto the Jews? Then
Go
King Esther,
go
then
ahead.
King
Sorry,
Esther,
go ahead.
then King Esther held out the golden scepter, and Esther arose and stood before the king. And
So,
Esther
so
said,
then the king held out the golden scepter to Esther, right?
and Esther said, If it please thee, and if I have found grace in thy eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters that Haman has sent to destroy the Jews, which are in thy kingdom. For how can I bear to see affliction of my people? How can I be saved in the destruction of my fatherland?
Go ahead.
And the king said unto Esther, If ye have given and bestowed upon thee all that Haman hath, and have hanged him in the gallows because he laid hands on the Jews, what more dost thou ask?
Pause for a second. I just want to note here that she calls Jerusalem her fatherland, right? Notice in our community, there's all this talk of the mother, the motherland, the motherland, the mother, the mother, the mother. Why? Because our men have failed our kingdom. Unfortunately, that's what it is. Why have they failed? How have they failed? They have failed by not prioritizing and building upon our foundation, which is righteousness. And when you don't build upon righteousness, slavery, destruction, desolation, confusion is what we get as a result. Okay? But the Most High designed it from the very beginning for the Father to lead, even calling the place the fatherland. And this is coming out of the mouth of the sister who understood that it was the fatherland. You understand what I'm saying? So I just thought that was very interesting. And as we walk here as the men in Israel, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, we pray that you wives and daughters realize that we are reestablishing the order, the power, and the protection that the Most High designed for you guys, being led by the Father. Okay, we are restoring the Father's kingdom, the fatherland, the Father's kingdom, and the fatherland, right? And it will behoove you to support us in this matter, lifting us up. Um, that we might shine before men and God in our rightful place, because we are now leading in righteousness and cannot be defeated in this matter, right? So go ahead, brother.
Write ye also in my name, and it seemeth you good, and seal it with my ring. For whatsoever the king writeth and sealeth with my ring, it is not possible for them to answer.
Pause. And I also want the men to realize how important it is for you to be righteous, right? Because our righteousness is the salvation of our nation, right? Just as our wickedness is the destruction thereof, right? So don't blame the sisters, don't blame the children, blame yourself and your forefathers, right? We've done wrong, and this is the result. Okay, our women are out of order, our children are out of order, our men are feminine, or they want to turn into they're effeminate, or they're gal, or they're homosexuals. You understand what I'm saying? So it's very important for us to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, because our nation is built on us as a foundation. Okay, we the head that wears the crown is the heavy is heavy, or heavy is the head, heavy is the head that wears the crown. I think that's how the phrase goes, and that's true. Okay, we have a great responsibility. The Most High says, the leaders of these people cause them to err, man. Therefore, those that follow them are destroyed, man. Paraphrasing. Okay? So let us be good leaders, and good leadership is built upon spiritual law. All this other stuff is garbage. All this other stuff is garbage in comparison to the Most High thing. Build on spiritual law, and you cannot lose, because your help is from heaven, right? So go ahead, brother.
And the scribes were called in the first month, which is Nisa, the third and eighth day of the same year. And he wrote unto the Jews what he commanded to the governors and princes of the satraps from India, even to Ethiopia, 127 satrapies to every province according to their own word. And it is
Read.
written by the king and sealed with his ring, and they sent the letters by couriers, as he commanded them to use their laws in every city to help themselves, and to use their adversaries as they pleased.
Right, pause. Notice it says the scribes were called in the first month, right? The third and eighth day of the same year, and they wrote these letters. Now, early on, I said that this entire month is a month of joy. This is the real Black History Month. And now you're starting to see why, because these happenings, these things didn't just happen in isolation, all right? They took time. Letters were written on this date, and they went out on that date, and this was received by then, and then on the 14th and 15th, the work was done. You understand what I'm saying? And then we celebrated after, and so they waited and they mulled this over and spoke about it and said, you know what? We're going to decree within the whole of Israel that these days must be remembered because this was a hell of a ride. So these things took time to occur, right? And this is why the entire month is a month of celebration, man. A month to link up with our people and jam and just remember the mighty works of the Most High in destroying our enemies, man. Not in integrating us with them, yeah, in integrating us with them to help them and their empire to oppress more people, man. Okay, that's not worthy of celebration. Okay, it's not worthy of celebration to win medals for your oppressor, man, and to be a good slave. It's not worthy. But these things are worthy of celebration, right? The salvation of our people given to us by our God, right? So, yeah, continue, brother. I just wanted to kind of point that out. Go ahead.
On one day throughout the kingdom of Artaxerxes, on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is Adar.
Go
If
ahead.
there is If there is a copy of the letter signed by the great King Artaxerxes to the 127 satrapies of the provinces from India to Ethiopia, they are the rulers and they are the ones who please with us,
Mm-hmm.
many being honored more frequently for their kindness than most of those who do good, have become more wise. And not only do they seek to who are harm those who are subject to us, but they are also unable to bear the burden, and they attempted to deceive us with their own benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And not only do they refuse thanksgiving from men, but they also have become the bonds of the ungodly, undertake to escape the judgment of Yahweh, who is ever watching over all things.
Mm-hmm.
And many times, too, he has made many of those who were placed in position of authority trusted to handle the affairs of friends, sharers in the blood of innocent people, I can't see, surrounded by unbearable offerings. And he
Suffering.
had and he has belied the absolute gratitude of those who prevailed to the absurdity of the wickedness. But it is our I can't see the rest of seven, but it is our intention to go beyond the early but it is our intention to go beyond the earlier stories as we have handed down to examine what is at your feet, which has been done ungodly by the wickedness of those who rule unworthily, and to be careful about the latter things, that we may live in peace with all men in the kingdom of peace, being stained with changes and always discerning the things that come before our eyes with more lenient to answer.
Okay, pause there for a second. I just want to, because this whole portion is kind of weirdly, it's kind of oddly translated. Let's see here, 9, 10. Just want to grab that. I think we started in right here. 1. Let's see what we get here. Yeah, that when I read it the first time, I was like, this kind of weird. So
Mm.
let's see what we get here. I didn't really understand what was going on. It says the following is a copy of the letter. The great King Artaxerxes, the governor of the 127 satrapies from India to Ethiopia, um, and to those who are loyal to our interests, greetings. Many people, the more they are honored through excessive kindness of those who have benefited them, become all the more arrogant. You hear that? Bear with me a second. Really, guys, at this time? Uh, please bear with me if there's noise in the background. Is there a lot of noise in the background, bro, or can you hear?
No, I don't hear anything.
Okay, good. Many people, the more they are honored through the excessive kindness of those who have benefited them, become all the more arrogant. And they not only seek to harm our subjects, but unable to handle their folly of prosperity, they even attempt to plot against their own benefactors. He's talking about Haman, you know. You catch that?
Hmm.
It says, not only do they remove gratitude from among men, but carried away by the boast of those unacquainted with good, they suppose that they will escape the evil-hating judgment of God, who always sees all things. Often, many of those appointed to positions of authority who have been entrusted with managing the affairs of friends have been made, through the influence of persuasive words, partners in the shedding of innocent blood. And if this ain't true, man, I don't know what is. Whether you believe in the Most High or not, this is truth. These things have happened over and over again in history, right? And this is the thing that's important for our people to realize. The Most High is not dealing with fantasies. The Most High deals with reality. And the more you read this Bible in the correct context, you will begin to see that this is a book of history. You understand? And it keeps telling you exactly the things that have happened and will happen in the world, right? And you get secrets about the building blocks of this world, which is in the spirit realm, right? Because everything, it's real. Reality from today, uh from ancient reality, basically ancient reality, and it keeps going back and back till it goes back to the very beginning of this entire reality, which is in a whole other dimension, right? But if you don't seek to know, you'll never find out, because day in and day out, it's being covered up and buried and buried and buried. So if you're not willing to dig, you will never find. Nor will you pass the test called life. You're gonna fail miserably, and you won't have an excuse for why you didn't dig for the truth, right? That being said, he says, let's see. Verse 5, often many of those appointed to positions of authority who have been entrusted with managing the affairs of friends have been made, through the influence of persuasive words, partners in the shedding of innocent blood, and have been involved in irreparable calamities, right? As they, by the false deception of their wickedness, deceive the innocent goodwill of their rulers, man. Okay? It is possible to see, not so much from the ancient histories as we have received them, but by examining the things that have been wickedly accomplished right before your feet, through the pestilent behavior of those unworthily holding power. So he's like, you don't even have to look far back. You could see it right now. And I repeat the same thing. You don't have to look far back. Look in Israel right now. These guys are committing genocide against a people in what name, right? Why? They're declaring ceasefires and still bombing hospitals, man. You understand what I'm saying? And camps, okay? Destroying children in the name of greed, man, right? And deception, to prove to the world that they are angels of the Most High when they're devils, man. Verse 8, and we must pay attention to the future so that we may present the kingdom undisturbed and in peace for all people, making changes as necessary, and always judging matters that come before us with a more lenient response. For Haman, son of Hamadathas, a Macedonian, in reality a foreigner to the Persian blood, and far removed from our kindness, having been welcomed as our guest. So the Persian tell you this guy's not in Persian, man. You understand? And he abused the thing, for his own benefit. Let me see if it's gonna allow, yes, translate to English. So I think that was a much better sort of take, right? Much clearer translation, right, of what's going on. Let's see where we stopped here. 10. You know what I'm gonna do for the rest of this chapter? I'm going to just copy it in so we can get a nice reading. if we can indeed do that. Where is the Greek? Where were we at? 10?
I think so.
Um, let's see if it'll do it for us. Looks like it's working, and it's gonna go to 15. Okay, great. Man, I love this deep seek, man. This thing is awesome. Okay, so go ahead, brother. You can read from 10. Are you able to see that there
Yes, I put my glasses on from 10. Where's 10?
at the top here?
Okay. For Haman, the son of Hamadethus, and a Macedonian reality, a foreigner to the Persian blood, and far removed from our kindness, have been welcome as our guests, receive such a measure of the hospitality which we have toward every nation, that he was proclaimed our father, and being worshipped by all, continually held the second position to the royal throne.
Hmm.
But unable to bear his arrogance, he endeavored to deprive us of our rule and our very life. And by intricate deceptions and false arguments, he asked for the destruction of Mordecai, our savior and perpetual benefactor and of Esther, the blameless partner of our kingdom, together with their entire nation.
Hmm.
For by these means he thought that having made us destitute, he could transfer the dominion of the Persians to the Macedonians.
Pause. What was he trying to do, brother?
Transfer the dominion of the Persians to the Macedonians.
So, what you call it? A man was there as an agent. You understand? The man was there
Mhm.
as an agent to try to destroy the people nation and give it over to the Greeks, man. The man was there to what you call it? Uh overthrow the people, man. Overthrow
Right.
the people and give the power over to the so-called European. Where have I heard this before?
Yeah, exactly.
It's insane that these tactics are thousands of years old, man,
And happening present day.
and happening present day, perpetrated by the very same people. They're using the same tricks to destroy people and their nations and to take power for themselves today, right? Because what is this? This is when I really think about this now, looking at this from a geopolitical perspective. I wouldn't be surprised if that guy wasn't involved in the assassination attempt of the king
Hmm.
that we read about earlier.
Right, right,
You see what I'm saying? So, boom, assassinate the king and then get a civil war going between the Israelites and everybody else. And then you can get the leadership for Macedonia because he's second to the king now. The
right,
only thing left is for the king to not be there, and then he can now what's the word? Exercise his authority, right? And bring the Persian kingdom over to the Greeks, man. And these people realize that that's insane. After he was killed, they realized this is what the man was trying to do, right? Go ahead, brother. That is pretty crazy. Go ahead.
But we find that the Jews who were consigned to annihilation by this thrice accursed man
Sorry,
are not
consigned to annihilation.
annihilation by this thrice accursed man are not evildoers, but are governed by most righteous laws,
Hmm.
and are the sons of the Most High, great living God, who has directed the kingdom for us and for our ancestors in the most excellent condition.
Come on.
Therefore you will do well to act upon the letters sent by Haman, the son of Hammedatha, because of the one who contrived these things has been hanged at the gates of Susa with all his household, since Yahweh, who rules over all things, has swiftly rendered him the judgment he deserved.
Mm-hmm.
Post Post a copy of this letter in every public place and permit the Jews to live according to their own customs and give them support so that on the 13th day of the 12th month, Adar, on the same day, they may defend themselves against those who attack them in their time of distress. For
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh, who has power over all things, has made this day a gladness for them instead of destruction for the chosen people.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you also shall celebrate the notable day among your festival days with all feasting, so that both now and hereafter it may be a day of deliverance for us, for loyal Persians, for those who plot against us, a reminder of destruction.
Right?
Every city or country that does not according to these things shall be utterly consumed with the spear and fire. It shall be made not only inaccessible to humans, but also most hateful to the wild animals and birds of all time.
Right. So the king said, listen, you guys don't follow this decree. I'm flattening your place. Okay? Go
Right.
ahead.
And they posted copies of the letter publicly in every part of the kingdom, and all the Jews were to be ready to fight against the enemies on that day.
Read.
So the couriers went out hastily to accomplish that was commanded by the king, and the decree was also issued in Susa. And Mordecai went out, clothed in royal apparel, wearing a golden crown and a turban of purple linen. When the
Yes, purple
when
linen
those in
turban.
Susa when those in Susa saw it, they rejoiced, and for the Jews there were light and gladness in every city, province, wherever the decree was published, joy and gladness for the Jews, feasting and rejoicing, and many from peoples of the land became circumcised and became Jews, because the
Yeah.
fear of the Jews had fallen upon them.
Right. So bear people convert, man, and start keep the laws,
Right,
statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Right?
right.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay. We got only two chapters left. I'll take this one, nine here.
Okay.
And bro, if you gotta go, do your thing, right?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm here.
Okay. It says here, so now in the 12th month, the 13th day of the month, which is Adar, the letters were received. Okay, so the letters received on the 13th day, okay, that were written by the king. On that day, the adversaries of the Jews were destroyed, for no one stood before them for fear of them. For the chief satraps, the satraps, and the king's scribes had done good to the Jews, for the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. For the king's commandment went forth to publish throughout all the kingdom. And in that city the Jews slew 500 men, even Farsan, Nestain, and Delphi, and Pisgah, and Faradatha, and Barsa, and Sarbaka, and Marmas, Marmasima, and Ruphe, and Arsai, and Zabutai, the 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Bugin, the enemy of the Jews, and they carried away captives. Who is the Macedonian? The enemy of the Jews. Who is the Greek? The enemy of the Jews. Who is the so-called European family? The enemy of the Jews. If you don't remember nothing else, remember your friends and remember your enemies. Live wisely and follow your God. That is all you have to do. The Most High will do the rest. Okay? But if you join your enemies, you're dead already. Okay? On that day, verse 11, the number of those who were exiled to Susa was given to the king. Then the king said to Esther, the Jews in Susa, the citadel, have not lost, but killed 500 men. But what have they done in the country? Right? So, what else has gone on? What more is there to you? Then Esther said to the king, let the Jews do likewise tomorrow, that they may hang Haman's 10 sons. And he gave this order, and they brought out the bodies of Haman's sons to the Jews in the city to hang them. Okay, so we hang them with our own hands. Okay, and the Jews gathered themselves together uh, in Susa on the 14th day of Adar and slew 300 men and took no spoil. Okay, so we didn't take their things and hold your things. But the rest of the Jews who were in the kingdom gathered themselves together and helped themselves and rested from the wars. For they had lost 1,005,000 of them on the 13th day of Adar, and they took no spoil. No, they killed. They killed 5,000, sorry. So For they had killed 1,000, 1,005,000. Let's see what this says here. Just bear with me. 17 was 16. And so the Jews who were in the kingdom gathered themselves together, held themselves, rested from the wars, for they lost 10,500,000 of them on the 13th day. It's not they lost, man. It's they killed. I know this. That translator. I just tried it because it was right on the page. And the rest of the Jews who were in the kingdom gathered together, hated one another. They had rest from their enemies, for they destroyed, see, 15,000. Jeez! Of them on the 13th day of Adar, but they took no plunder. So that's 15,800 Edomites finished, right? Greeks, man, done for in retaliation, right? All praise to the Most High. Um, Translate to English. Okay, all right. 18. And the Jews that were in Shushan and the citadel gathered themselves together on the 14th day and rested not, and they went out also on the 15th day with gladness and gladness. Yeah. Therefore, the Jews that were scattered abroad kept the 14th day of Adar with gladness, and sent portions every man to his neighbor. And they that dwelt in the cities and on the 6th and first days of Adar kept good tidings and sent portions to their neighbors. You guys see that? They that dwelt in the cities on the 6th and first days of Adar kept good tidings and sent portions to their neighbors. So now we're going to start seeing how the whole month is blessed. And Mordecai wrote these words in a book and sent to the Jews that were throughout the kingdom of Artaxerxes, both near and far. And this is the book he wrote it in. Esther, to establish these days of feasting and to celebrate the 14th and 15th of Adar. For in these days the Jews had rest from their enemies, and to turn the month of Adar, which was turned from mourning to joy and from sorrow to a good day, to celebrate all the days of feasting and to celebrate the feast, sending portions to friends and the poor. So hopefully you guys see that we celebrate the feast, which is the 14th and 15th, but to celebrate all the days of feasting. That would represent what, Brother Winston? If you're talking, I can't hear you, bro.
Yeah, sorry. Repeat that again.
No, it says it gives two distinctions here. It says to celebrate all the days of feasting and to celebrate the feast, sending portions to friends and the poor. So why
And you're
would it say,
asking,
go ahead.
and no, so and you're asking?
I was just saying, what does it mean when it says all the days of feasting? If the days of the feast are two particular days, what is all the days of feasting?
You're pertaining to this month?
Yeah, exactly, the entire month,
Okay,
right?
so to honor all the days from now until the, until the end of the feast day?
Well, no, because it says here, for in those days the Jews had rest from their enemies,
Right,
and to turn the month of Adar, which was
right.
turned from mourning to joy. The whole month was turned from
Right.
mourning to joy, and from sorrow to a good day, right?
And
He
to
wrote to
celebrate all
them,
the days of the feasting and to celebrate the feast, sending portions to friends and the poor.
yeah, you catch that?
Yes.
So that, yeah, that's why I'm asking you to break it down. So he says he wrote to them to celebrate all the days of feasting and also to celebrate the feast. So like can you explain that? What is all the days of feasting? If the days of the feast are the 14th and the feast and the 15th, what are all the days of the feasting?
You want me to number them or
No, no,
put it?
no, just in general, what would that be referring to? If there's 2 days of feast, right,
Mhm.
which he mentions here, 2 days of feast, but then he adds all the days of feasting. What are these other days?
I'm not sure.
It's the rest of the days of Adar.
Right. Okay. That's what you meant. That's what I thought, but I was overthinking it. Okay.
Yeah, don't overthink it, fam.
Yeah.
So that's why I say this is the real Black History Month because this whole
Right.
month is to be celebrated for these mighty works that the Most High has done within
And
our
that's
nation.
why they created February to take our energy away from that and our attention away from
That
that.
totally makes
To give
sense.
us February, so
Yeah,
keep us down.
that totally makes sense. I didn't even pre that, bro.
Because
I didn't
why
even
would they pick February and not March?
exactly,
Right?
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because that's the
They know
exact time that these
they
things
know the
well.
truth. They know the truth.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
elites, the ones in power, the ones above, they know the truth.
100%.
So, beknownst to us, a lot of the times they're celebrating the days we should be celebrating. They're celebrating themselves
Yep.
and having us celebrate Christmas,
Yep.
Thanksgiving,
Yep.
Easter, which,
Yep.
you know, so
Yep. 100%. 100%. Okay. Pressing on. We're almost there. Says, and the Jews received as Mordecai wrote unto them, how Haman the son of Hammedatha the Macedonian had fought against them and had cast the decree and the lot to destroy them. And when he came in unto the king to hang Mordecai, but all that he had devised to do unto the Jews was evil done unto him, and he was hanged, he and his sons. For this reason, these days were called watchmen by the lots. So here's another big secret, a little reveal for us that we see by the hand of our ancestors who wrote the Septuagint. Um, the days were called watchmen by the lots, right? So this is the word Purim, right? It can be translated as watchmen or guardians by the lot. You see that? So that's kind of cool that Mordecai and Esther were considered watchmen of the nation, right? Doing whatever it took to save our people, man, right? Guardians of the nation. Pretty awesome stuff. Because in their dialect, they are called watchmen because of the words of this letter and what was said about them and what had happened to them. They're called watchmen, right? Pretty cool. And he set it up, and the Jews accepted it on themselves and on their seed and on those added to them, right? So everyone who claims to follow the Most High has to keep these days, and they were not used otherwise. But these days are a memorial that is celebrated by every generation and tribe and city and fatherland and country. But these days of the watchers shall be remembered forever, and their memorial shall not perish from generation to generation. These days of the watchers, man. And Esther the queen, the daughter of Aminadab, and Mordecai the Jew, wrote what they had done according to the seal of the letter of the watchmen. That's so stinking cool. And Mordecai and Esther the queen stood up for themselves and then stood up for their health and their will. And Esther stood up forever and it is written in a memorial, right? So Esther has a memorial forever, Mordecai has a memorial forever in the book of the Lord, man, right? So this is the last chapter. Go ahead, Brother Winston. You're on mute again.
yes.
Yeah.
And the king wrote concerning the kingdom of the earth and of the sea, and his power and his might and his riches and the glory of his kingdom, Behold, they are written in the book of the chronicles of the kings of Persia and Media.
mm.
And Mordecai was next to King Artaxerxes, and was great in the kingdom, and honored among the Jews, and he made known his judgment to all his people. And Mordecai said, this was done by Yahweh, for I remembered the dream which I had seen concerning these words, for none of them passed away. The little fountain that became a river, there was a light and sunshine and much water. The river Esther, whom the king married, had made queen, and the two
The
dragons.
river is Esther.
Okay, what chapter am I on?
You're
Seven.
right here up here. It says the river is
Oh, yeah,
Esther.
the river is Esther, whom the king married and made queen,
Hmm.
and two dragons are I and Haman. And the
Hmm.
nations that came together to destroy the name of the Jews. And the nation that is mine is Israel, which cried unto Yahweh, and were delivered. And the Lord saved his people, and the Lord delivered us out of all these evils. And Yahweh did great signs and wonders, such as were not done among any nation.
Hmm.
Therefore he cast two lots, one of the people of Yahweh, and one of all the nations. And
Hmm.
these two lots came at a time and season, and in a day of judgment before Yahweh and all the nations.
Hmm.
And the God remembered his people and justified his inheritance. And these days are in the month of Adar, on the 14th and 15th of the same month, with a feast and joy and gladness before Yahweh throughout all generations forever among his people Israel.
Hmm.
In the fourth year of the reign of Ptolemy,
Yeah, Ptolemy. Yeah.
Ptolemy and Cleopatra, Dostheus, who was a priest and a Levite, and Ptolemy his son delivered the above letter of the guards which they had read and interpreted to Lysimachus, Ptolemy of Jerusalem.
Right. So he's just telling you who delivered this letter and when, right? So we got stamps, man. And you can look up Mordecai in the chronicles of the kings of Persia and Media, man. There's
Right.
somebody in there that fits the exact description of Mordecai, man. Okay, so this is we didn't imagine this stuff, man. This is not a cleverly written story. Okay, this is an account of things that have happened in real life unto our people, right? So this is our real Black History Month, man. The month of Adar, okay? And we keep the 14th and 15th day, the day of the watchman, Mardoshus Day, it's called in another place. Let me pull that up real quick. I think that's Second Maccabees 15:26, right? And we keep this whole month as a time of joy and for our victory over our enemies by the hand of our God, right? No, it's not that. Hold on. It is okay. Why did I put Second Maccabees 15:26 when it's not that? Maybe it's First Maccabees. Let's try first. What happened here? 36, not 26. And they ordained all with a common decree in no case to let that day pass without solemnity. This is talking about the destruction of Nicanor or Mordecai Day. Sorry, Maccabeus Day. I call it Maccabeus Day because Purim is called Mardoshus Day. So I'm just following that convention because I don't want to name our day. Our day doesn't have an official name, and I don't want to name it after the heathen. Okay. So it's known as destruction of Nicanor in our community, but I refer to it as Maccabeus Day. All right, because Judah Maccabeus was the general that led the whole charge. 36, and they ordained all with a common decree in no case to let that day pass without solemnity, but to celebrate the 13th day of the 12th month, which is in the Syrian tongue called Adar, the day before Mardochus's day. See? This is how we know it's called Mardochus Day, all right? Because the Maccabeans celebrate the uh, 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 Maccabeus Day the day before Mardochus Day. Purim Day, the day of the guards, right? Or the day of the watchmen. All these names are correct. Um, it happened in the fourth year of the reign of Ptolemy. I like how they place this in time for us and tell you that Dositheus, a priest of the children of Israel, a Levite, delivered the letter. Okay. Um, and they interpreted it to Lysimachus Ptolemy in Jerusalem. So these words are trusted and true, right? And yeah, I mean, in conclusion, the Black History Month celebrated by Israelites today was instituted by Jesse E. Moreland, likely an Edomite, okay, and Carter G. Woodson, a lost Hebrew, all right? I showed Jesse E. Moreland before, I'm going to show him again. At the time that the census was taken, many census takers would just look at you and give you a racial designation. I don't believe this guy was an Israelite. I believe this guy was an Edomite. But whether or not he was an Israelite, him and Carter G. Woodson, who was unquestionably an Edomite, an Israelite, um, integrated Israelites into the American empire that has enslaved them. All right. Their whole thing is, you know, about oh, I want to quote his words. He wants America to value the contributions of the Negro. So you're a slave and you want your oppressor to give you a ribbon for helping him to get more power. It's not going to happen, right? And that's destruction because the Most High asks us to separate from the people of the land here in Ezra 10:10 to 14. So Carter G. Woodson says, and I quote, all Americans must know the contributions of the Negroes. This is why they have us celebrating their Black History Month, to put you to sleep, man, and to integrate you into a sinking ship, okay? To make you choose colonization and white supremacy over the true Black God of the Bible, who is your God, who made the entire universe, man, right? But the real Black History Month celebrates us destroying our enemies by the power of our God, by war, by desecration, and by reversing the genocide that they planned against us. So we respect and anticipate the real Black History Month of Adar by celebrating Mardochus Day and Maccabeus Day, and indeed keeping the celebration going throughout the entire month, right? So if you value your creator and your soul and you'd like to be a true worshiper, you should definitely do the same as well. For those who don't know, this evening, sunset is Maccabeus Day, and tomorrow evening until Thursday evening sunset is Mardochus Day. And we celebrate with feasts, fun, potlucks, and feeding poor Israelites. Okay, so don't forget the poor, man. If there was any time you wanted to give to the poor, this is it. Whether it be, well, you're obligated to give food. But I see here, I saw one precept here talking about a portion that was given to Esther, and that portion was a dowry, right? So that's one witness. Hopefully, I can get another showing that you're able to give money, but the expectation is for food, okay? The expectation is for food. So that's pretty much it, man. With that, all praise to the Most High. In the name of Yahweh Shai the Prince, and I just want to end with this scripture here. Whoops. If you can read that for me, please, Brother Winston. And afterward, if you have anything to say, you can say a final word, and then we'll close it out.
Okay. He that leadeth into 10,
From 9 and 10.
9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
Right. So the Most High is telling you the thing that the saints are actually waiting for is for the enslaver to be enslaved and the murderer to be destroyed, okay, to get his retribution. He said that's what his real followers are waiting for, man. Okay, and his followers must worship in spirit and truth, pursuant to John 4, and I believe it's verse 23. All right, so we have to get the right mindset, all right, and live in that mindset. So celebrate the real Black History Month, the month of Adar, and stop celebrating the sellout, white supremacy loving, um, what do you call it? Destructive, um, Black History Month invented by a sellout brother and a Edomite to destroy you, man. All right. So with that, all praise to the Most High. See you guys in the next lesson, and keep it righteous. All right.
Okay, blessings. Thank you.
Yeah, man. No problem, bro.
Okay, take care.
Bless.
Bless.